jump right on his head. They found who they need. That's a big shot down. He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's not here, but what was that? It's a pentakill. Go 1-for-1 into Schön. Fire gets slammed into the wall to actually go to Olaf. There's the access shot. And he hits the lumberjack. And a point. Tries he might release the tempo active. But he will never find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome to the LCO. We're closing out playoffs. It's day number 5. It's the final day in this playoffs week. Obviously not the overall final day, but we're going to go out with a bang. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got Max with me, I got Skimmy, I got Rusty. How excited? Day number 5.
Very excited.
And an elimination match on the cards.
Very excited. Very crucial game. And I'm actually very happy that we still stuck it together. All our voices are intact. Our energies are still right up here.
Oh,
5 days. 5 days of LCO.
Oh,
What was that?
I'm just gonna.
One, there's none left.
And after today, I will not be talking for the rest of the week.
Yeah, you will not hear a single peep out of me, but if you guys don't know who's going to be playing today, you don't know who is up for potential elimination. And let's have a look at a recap of yesterday's upper bracket final.
Here we go, they think they found Daystar.
They certainly do feel like they found him. Is he going to go trade? He does! Are you kidding me? Daystar ganks 1v2 and he takes the kill. Bio TP's in, he falls on down, and this situation is an absolute catastrophe, Max. Two-man knocker from the depth charge. Race looking to try and find what he can. But look at Biotemp on the top half of your screen. He's got in for the flank, he's got in for the TP, he's got in for the kill onto Limus. But the Feather Flash disengage away. And is Limus safe? I think he is. He's managed to make a magic trick happen. Race is to overcompensate to try and get the kill. But he dies in the process.
That's game.
And Bliss is just going to win.
Look at this. Look how friendly we are here in the LCO.
Look at Alazoric right now. The ultimate goes down. They don't actually hit the Zenith Blade, but look at the amount of damage that comes afterwards onto Daystar's head, but he still gets out alive. 2 kills found. It's all going away at Bliss. And the burn on Kevy's head toasts him for a double. They'll look for another. They'll take down White on the process. It really a constellation.
Just a montage of all the Bliss highlights there. They did take it 3-0. Let's have a look at our bracket, in fact, so we can see how this week has shaped up for ourselves. We started off with that upper bracket. It was Team Bliss up against Direwolves, Chiefs, then Mammoth. It saw Mammoth then falling down, coming up against PGG, ultimately eliminating them in a 2-0. Direwolves going up to Vertex and being eliminated themselves by a 2-1 for Vertex. Mammoth then continued on their lower bracket run here. Another nice clean 2-0 for them against Vertex. And it made them sit there, wondering who would they come up against in yet another elimination match, as we saw Team Bliss and Chiefs yesterday battle it out.
And that they were praying that their opponents were going to be Bliss, but unfortunately not going to be the case here. They are going to have the rematch up against Chiefs, currently holding the record 4-0 over them. So they've had a little bit of time off. They've had a bit of time to sit back, watch that series unfold, see how the Chiefs can be beaten, and hopefully apply it here today.
Yeah, only one day off for Mammoth. They played on that Monday in the upper bracket, Tuesday in the lower, Wednesday in the lower again. Obviously Thursday, like I said, it was that upper bracket, so they got that 1 day break. And here they are back again for their 4th day in a row, Rusty.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they even wanted the day off. You know,
Yeah.
like that momentum was on their side, and now the day in between, maybe it stunted them, slowed them down a little bit. But I think also watching yesterday's games, maybe there is a curse with the Chiefs, but I think I'd rather verse that Chiefs than that Bliss that we saw performing
Oh
yesterday.
my goodness, you definitely don't want to be going up against that Bliss. They looked fantastic, and it's something that we like to do at the end of the split when we talk about fantastic teams and fantastic players is ask you guys to cast your vote on the LCO All-Pro fan vote. So it's time to vote for your split 2 All-Pro team. Type !Discord in chat, and you can head over to our Discord to find out how to participate. And then it does say that voting closes Wednesday, 26th of July, so you got to get on it. You got to do it before the grand finals even comes around. And there's some hot contenders to make your all-star pro team. Would you just put Bliss? Would you just put them forward?
I did my vote, and
Okay.
I definitely didn't put all Bliss.
Wow, all right. Do you want to
I
share a
can't.
little?
No, I
No,
don't want to
yeah,
share.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
just
want
Skewing
to
the
vote.
votes. Don't skew the vote.
Nah,
Yeah,
No, you're
exactly.
fine, you're fine, you're fine. You gotta make up those decisions for yourself. And another decision you gotta decide on is whether you're gonna join our next community night. That one's happening on Friday, July 28th as well. So, you know, It's got to be finals fever theme. You can jump on in. We had a lot of people last time rotating lobbies around. We did ARAMs. Not too sure what's on the cards for that Friday night, but it will be a lot of fun is the only thing I know.
I heard Mordred has actually
I was waiting for it.
gone on to the PBE, actually re-enabled Dominion as well as Twisted Treeline. He's actually really busted out the
He was
huge
watching
connections.
He does have
Household
that power.
Hassle. He was watching LCO Household Hassle, and he said, whatever game mode is going to be the top voted, I'll bring that one back, and that's what he did.
That's it. I mean,
Incredible.
just continues to dazzle me how many contacts he has, all in the highest places. So, Mordred, love your work. Thank you for bringing all the top-tier content down under here in the LCO.
And it's not just Mordred that's bringing in the top tier content. You guys at home are also bringing us some top tier content from the fans using hashtag LCO. You can answer our question for today. And it is, what is your ranked goal for the new season? That reset just yesterday, didn't it?
Yes. Yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that, yeah.
It's
Sometime
reset
this week.
yesterday.
Yeah.
You want to know my goal in that?
Yeah.
To play ranked.
To actually get one game in.
This whole third of the season, I psyched myself out.
Yeah.
I just stopped playing.
You had ranked anxiety.
Yeah.
So you got to overcome that. That's the first hurdle, is to overcome it. Actually jump on in there, play some of your placement matches. Do we have any from the fans? Do we have anyone that's already given us some of their ranked aspirations? We do. We have Solani. She said, my goal is to finish my placements, but only if the Victorious skin is the one that I want.
I think that's fair. I think they've made a conscious effort, haven't they, right, to change it from what it used to be where you had to hit gold to get the skin. Now it doesn't matter what rank you are, you just get a different shade, right? You got the bronze, the silver,
the
whatever it may be.
chromas that come
Yeah. Whereas before
Wait,
it was like
when
you
did
must
that
hit
change?
gold.
Excuse me, why didn't you tell me this in the...
Was it
No,
Blitzcrank?
because we want you to hit gold.
Blitzcrank
When I
was
see
the
the
first
stop
one,
you-
We
right?
talked about what this was, and I was like, guys, my
it
ranked
was Blitz.
aspiration is to hit gold because I want the rewards, right? Every time I've done ranked, I've literally fallen short by one rank. I'm always silver 1, always just falling short, always
Now you can
literally
get the
just
silver
miss out.
skin.
Now I can.
See, I don't like it. I don't like that change.
You
It's
think-
like
you
it's like
think
a
gold should be in the
participation
bar?
trophy. Like, what's the point of having this skin if everyone gets it, you know? It's not a victorious skin, it's a participation skin.
Because it's a cruddy bronze
Nah,
one.
listen here, Max. That's elitist. Right, mate? Just because you're in the top 1%.
Yeah, just because you're the top 1%er. Classic 1%ers wanting everything for themselves, don't want to share it around. We got some things to share around, though, some information. We've got someone joining us here, a very special guest. I do believe he's ready. Shock, how are you going, man? It's been so long since I've spoken to you.
Yeah, wow, good to be on the LCO. First time in a while, but all the better for getting to talk to you guys.
Yeah, we get to have a bit of a chit-chat about LCO PCS here. I'm going to kick us off, have a bit of a discussion about this PCS because, look, I would be lying if I said I'd been watching all of the games back-to-back, but I want to know, what are some current gameplay strength throughout the PCS teams that you can give us some idea on?
I think PCS as a whole, I mean, it's a really aggressive league. You see it kind of in the way they draft and a lot in the kind of the way the lanes play out, right? Like I sometimes see the same matchup played in the PCS and the same matchup played in LCO. And in the PCS, it's very explosive. Like you're likely to see one player just completely out of the game, like 60 CS down, nothing they can do. Whereas it feels like in the LCO, the laning phase is a bit more muted. It's not to say that they're bad at laning, but just the PCS, like it's really explosive and it's non-stop action. Like once it gets to team fights, it's even crazier.
Yeah, just pure aggression. All right, I don't know if I can handle that one if I was going from
No,
LCO
I
to
think
PCS.
that's what we aspire to be here at OST, right? We just don't often get to play that way. So very much envious of that for you, Shock, as a cast. It's a lot of fun to get through, right?
What about when
Yes,
it
it
comes
is.
to objectives as well? Would you say they're more decisive on what objectives to take? That could be a potential strength too for PCS teams?
I'd actually say it's the other way around. I think
Okay.
it might be a weakness for PCS teams. I don't think they're that good at setting up for objectives and choosing kind of like what the right objective is. It often feels like, you know, the reason you're kind of fighting in the first place is to secure the objective. But in PCS, it more feels like they don't actually care about the objective. They just want the fight.
We're just fighting for the sake of fighting over here.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Skim, I know that you got something you want to ask too.
Yeah, well, my question to you, Shock, is obviously we looked at what LCO did in the spring playoffs when they went over to the PCS, right? We really struggled up against the 5th and the 6th seed. I remember that one game that Chiefs took away from BYG, but Feng had an absolute blinder, right? Went Prime Uzi mode, but now Feng's being subbed out. Betty's come in. Betty arguably even better than Feng was. So, like, how do you see LCO going into the PCS playoffs this time in comparison?
It's hard to say because I feel like LCO, at least the top teams, are looking pretty strong. But PCS, every single team changed a part of their roster. There was not a single team that went without roster changes. So even those teams that, you know, maybe didn't look as good last split are still looking very strong. Now, what I will say is that it feels like while the PCS top 4 is kind of rock solid at this point, the 5th seed, DCG, they're still very good in the early game, but they have a lot of problems and can be exploited. And the PCS 6th seed is kind of all over the place right now. There's actually Frank, who came second last split, currently sitting in that 6th position, and there's a couple other teams tied with them. So I think that there is potential for LCO to deal some damage, especially up against the 6th seed, but as you go higher and higher, I think it gets more and more difficult.
That's exactly what I was expecting it to sound like.
Hey, as long as we get more than one game.
Yeah,
It's
if
a
we,
win.
if we
That's
end up
development.
sitting like middle of the pack-ish for PCS, that's pretty impressive if our top teams can do that one compared to last split.
Yeah.
You don't seem convinced.
Thanks, Max. Thanks,
Cheers, Max. Really appreciate that.
I want us to go to Worlds, Nat. I want us to go to Worlds, but it is what it is.
All right, I believe it's your prompt.
Is
Max?
it now?
Is it?
I think it's me.
It's Rusty's.
I think I'm pretty sure it's me.
All I remembered was who was after me.
So my conversation here, Shock, is more related to skimmies as well, right? So it's very notable when we last went over to the Split 1 playoffs that it was a very stacked league. And it still kind of feels that way given that you've got like 8 teams still in the race right now. You're about halfway through the season. There's like 8 teams still competing for that top 6 spot. So my conversation here is about like the fact that it is so competitive is bad for the LCO because that just means the breadth of talent is so deep into the league that it's really hard for us to actually go far in those playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about. I definitely agree that naturally, like having a wider pool of talent means you can kind of create stronger teams, right? Just by having access to more people. I still feel though like the PCS's main advantage is more that it has access to other regions, right? Like I think even if the PCS was very top heavy, like if there were only kind of 2 or 3 contenders like there are in OC right now, I don't think it would matter as much for the PCS because they can just scrim other teams, right? They're not really limited to scrimming their own region. They can scrim China, Korea, or you know whatever. They also play Korean solo queues, so I think it's more like you really feel that in OCE when the league is top heavy because there is just no one else to scrim and there's no other like region you can realistically play on. But I think for PCS, even if those bottom teams were weaker, the top teams just wouldn't scrim them and they would scrim someone else.
Do you think also as well, because the PCS is obviously a large grouping of countries and regions all combined, that helps them as well? Like innately they just have more teams and regions to pick from, so they just have a deeper talent pool.
I think, yeah, I definitely agree. I think when you look at league regions as a whole, the population like of the server, the amount of players that play ranked and stuff is a pretty good indicator for how strong the region is, right? Like when you look at Korea and China, those are the regions with the most ranked player base. And then when you kind of get down to Oceania, you know, one of the smaller servers, that's definitely a major factor. And it sucks, right? Because there's not much you can do about it, but at the same time, it can't really be ignored.
I'm going to move on to what you wanted to ask and some things that you had.
Yeah,
about.
so mine was more specific in regards to top laners. Last time we went, I remember Lived had some good performances, Bio was pretty solid as well. How do you see this role stacking up against the PCS now?
Oh, I think might have some rose-tinted glasses if you think top lane was close last time, because I promise you it wasn't. I don't know. I think I think when both the top laners in OC kind of like, you know, they have a bit of time to prepare, right? Whichever team qualifies tonight and then obviously Team Bliss, they have a lot of time where they can practice against each other. And I think that goes a pretty long way because top lane this split in PCS, I will say that the kind of players that look strong in top lane have moved around a bit. Like last split, there was a lot of solo kill playing really well. I think Rest had some really great performances where it feels like this split, Driver has been probably the best top and just behind him has been Arja on PSG. So I'd say it's more, maybe it's just because of the meta. There's different top laners that are good this time around, and I guess we'll just have to see whether or not like the OC top lane can stand up to it.
And I guess to bring back your earlier point about the PCS just being much more explosive and in general just more punishing, is top lane one of the main lanes that you see that actually happen?
I would normally say no, but I kind of think at the moment, like one really big difference between PCS drafting and OC drafting is the Sejuani priority. Like I don't really see that much Sejuani in OC. It comes through every now and then, but it's not a big thing. Whereas I feel like PCS, you know, very willing to do stuff like first pick Renekton and get a Sejuani with it later. Or, you know, if first pick Renekton's given over, take the Jack Sejuani and into that. And then, you know, just kind of play around that top lane for the early game. And it's kind of interesting because I think PCS as a whole, it feels like AD carry might be their strongest role, but I think they still kind of use it as that late game insurance, similar to how some of the OC AD carries are. But the top lane is definitely a place that gets played through early game a lot.
Cool.
All right, we do have one more as well. We got a special one. This one's from Calvin. Rusty, you drew it out of him, so I feel like you should ask the prompt.
Yeah, sure. So Calvin sent me like 3 paragraphs, and we managed to condense this into a single statement. The basis of it is that LCO, as we all were aware of, got fairly team-gapped in spring. There was a lot of team fight difficulties and teleport setups and everything. Calvin essentially said that's not going to be the case coming into summer with improved rosters. Now, this also includes Chiefs or potentially Mammoth if they go.
Right.
Mammoth with a whole new roster, Chiefs having upgraded by adding Kevy into the mix, and Bliss having added Akia into the mix themselves. So individually, we've improved enough to be able to go toe-to-toe, even on a team level.
Yeah, I mean, I think the LCO has definitely upgraded their rosters, right? I think it's pretty normal that Split 2 tends to be more competitive than Split 1, and that definitely helps their chances. But I also think that some of the PCS roster swaps were pretty disgusting. You've got like BYG adding Keres and Betty as their bot lane. PSG have Maple back. Mission now joins DCG. You've got people like Driver on J Team, and all these teams look much stronger for it. So I think while it's true the LCO has definitely leveled up, the PCS definitely has as well.
So you really would feel like at this point that top 4 that you mentioned before, Shock, is near unbeatable for most teams that go up against them in the playoffs bar themselves.
It is sort of tough because I think meta does play a lot into it, and also the team style, because I think the OC was very exploited last time for playing too slow. But like, for example, in that series yesterday between Bliss and Chiefs, I really liked how Bliss kind of like the pace of the game that they set and how many skirmishes they fought. So if they can play like that, I think, the Bliss that we saw yesterday has the chance to kind of push or pierce their way into that top 4. I think the 5th and 6th seed are definitely kind of more on their level though, and I guess I would be surprised if LCO kind of managed to beat a top 4 team, but I wouldn't be too surprised if they, I guess, pushed them a little bit, if they gave them some good games.
Okay.
All right, so it feels like there is a slot in which we can sit in there with PCS. Shock, thank you so much for giving us all this information. It's been a lot of fun to talk about the 2 regions with you, but we're going to say bye for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. See you later.
See ya.
It's doomed.
No, it was a lot. There was a lot of good information in there from him as well. And I think what is interesting is the PCS 4 reference was delayed due to the Road to Asia Games tournament that 2 of their teams competed in. So they're only in week 4. And so to hear that they are beatable right now is a positive sign for us, because now we get to watch the rest of the season, right? Today, we send our second team, and just like that, we can actually learn about that top 4 and how we can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, if we reflect back on what was happening in week 4 for our split, it was at the point where we thought Chiefs were never going to be beaten. They were looking fantastic for themselves. They were on this massive streak, and now we have them. They're going to be in an elimination match. They weren't the first to be qualified to PCS. They're going to have to go up against Mammoth, so that's the matchup we want to start talking about here. That's our best of 5 that's going to take place in this Chiefs roster. You can see it on there. I'm just going to call it out. Kevy is now going to be starting. They're not going to bother putting Babip in right now for this first game. They have faith. Maybe Kevy's going to be the one for it.
And it's really hard as a spectator to sort of tell which one's better based off yesterday, right? Just overall, the team got completely deconstructed by Bliss, so it's not a case of, okay, Kevy played clearly better or Babip played clearly worse. I think that this just is the style that they went with, and I think when you look at the way that they drafted with Kevy, they were playing more proactively for that topside 3v3 with that Sejuani pairing alongside 2 melees, right? So if this is a plan they've come in with today, they've acknowledged that, okay, starting Babip wasn't to our benefit. And look, Kevy was the starting jungler when they 2-0'd Mammoth, so a bit of familiarity there as well.
I'm actually quite curious to that point as well, because of the 4 meetings, there has been 3 of those with Kevy as the starting jungler. So I know that yesterday didn't really go as planned for the Chiefs, but I'm curious if this is a stylistic choice for them to say, if we can be a little bit more aggressive, we have another threat from another position in the game, then we can put the pressure on Mammoth and make it 5-0, 6-0, whatever it may be.
I will say what showed in the Team Bliss series yesterday for Chiefs was that having Babip, they definitely felt slow. They definitely felt very vulnerable in this earlier part. But their team fighting looked a little bit more cohesive, especially in game number 1. That's what I say. I really liked what Babip brought to the team, obviously with the champs that they were able to pick up for themselves. But why I do feel that Kevy might be stepping in was he was significantly more stable during that early game, and that is where you're able to exploit Mammoth, because they want to try to be proactive, but they're a team of 1% margins that you can can take advantage of.
Yeah, it does feel like Mammoth are the type of team that do or die by the early game themselves, right? They have a lot of specific champions for the way they play. TN, if he gets those early leads and avoids being bored, looks like a completely different player as well. So early leads are going to do a lot for not being bored as a top laner.
His words.
Yeah, those are his words. I'm happy to also say mine if you want, but he does get bored a lot. And I think, like, ultimately for Mammoth in this matchup, if they don't start strong, they're probably already starting in dire straits. This is the type of game that is rent-free. And for all the strengths that Mammoth have, for all the things that I want to look at for this team and say I'm super excited to see that happen. Dajong on a tear. Look at his opponent. He's got a pretty tough matchup today. And you just go down the list and you say that for the side of Mammoth. So again, a lot of positives, a lot to look forward to. The fact they brought tanks into the jungle role is big for me. But still up against the absolute titans who are probably angry gaming today.
And the big thing for me that absolutely terrifies me is we've sung the praises of Chan and Yersun together. They've had weeks and weeks together now, gotten stronger as the weeks go by. But you look at the 4 games played into the Chiefs, Chan's only ever been able to find 5 kills. 5 kills in 4 games for me sings just how hard it's been for him to perform. You then look at Raze, 4 games, 43 kills. So it's night and day. So, I mean, much to Rusty's point, you go down the list and you say, what is the strong point that can look to try and directly counter the Chiefs? And I'm struggling to find it.
Oh, that is so tough, especially because, Max, you said that bot lane, you loved how they were shaping up, all the progress they were making throughout that regular split for themselves. But for some reason, Chiefs just seems to be their undoing.
Yeah, it really does, and ever since I sort of said that, they went on a downhill trajectory ever since that point.
You cast a curse them.
I've definitely cast a curse them, but I think to me, when Yersun's playing well, Mammoth look fantastic, and when he's playing bad, they look terrible, right? And I think this is the nature of this team. They are very hit or miss, particularly around that jungle support, right? We see Yersun on the rail. When you engage and have a good one, it looks fantastic. You're going to wipe a fight, but on the other hand, you're just going to go in randomly and die as well. So to me, it's on Yersun particularly, because once he's ahead and Cheon's actually able to farm up, he's a monster, right? He can play very consistently and he can hyper carry these games. But if he doesn't have the stability there, he's just not going to be able to do it.
All right, we're looking for some stability from Yersun in that previous matchup. It definitely wasn't there. We can even have a bit of a reflection here. Have a look at those stats the champs picked up and everything that occurred in the drafting phase 2. I'm looking at these KDAs. I'm trying to, you know, scratch through them.
So
Tien had a tough one. Sully had a really rough one.
Yeah, this was the first series that Mammoth played against Chiefs in week number 3. This is the week that I wasn't here, and I remember watching this back, and I think I got to 5 minutes in both VODs, and I was like, I don't need to watch the rest. I genuinely don't need to watch the rest. It was so over. BioPanther without a death in this whole series, but also both junglers going crazy. And that's not including how far ahead the bottom lane were, and to me, that's the consistent trend between this series and the next one, is that Raze and Aladoric just put on an absolute clinic.
We can have a look at that playoff series as well and see the difference, to see that, oh, look, I'm trying to be like, oh, it was a little bit better for them, and it kind of was. Tien definitely had a lot more going for him in the top lane. He was able to stand his ground a lot better over Bio, looking at that KDA. But when it comes to the champs as well, Max, do you fare them as this little bit of an upward trajectory against Chiefs?
Look, I like kind of what Mammoth are going here for here, rather, in the sense that they are picking sort of off-meta champions, particularly towards that jungle, right? You've got the Kha'Zix, you've got the Amumu. I think in their earlier series, when they tried to play more stock standard, I believe they brought out a Karthus as well. It just didn't go their way, right? So perhaps picking the Kha'Zix throws a bit more of a spanner into the works, perhaps means that you can force Chief to make mistakes, but that being said, they're a very stable team, right? You look at that bot lane KDAs, 7.8, 9.8, busting out the Ashe Milio, a defensive bot lane as well, so it's an incredibly versatile team that they're going up against, and certainly able to prepare into whatever they're playing.
And I think above all else is the fact that now we're looking at 2 games or 4 games, right, that are always done before the 30-minute mark ever comes around, right? 24, 26, 28 seem to be the magical number. So you're sort of looking at a mid to late game fight and you're thinking that's just going to be done and dusted right there and then. And I think the only other thing that really stood out to me is just how much of a control Chiefs had on that entire series of all those matches. You look at all 4 games, and Mammoth have only ever been able to get 1 Dragon and 1 Herald. Everything else has always belonged to Chiefs. So it just showcases that stylistically matched up against each other, this really is Mammoth's worst nightmare.
Yeah, Chiefs might be feeling pretty good about themselves, and we can ask them how they are feeling. We've got Kevy here joining us. Kevy, you guys have come up against Mammoth. You've beaten them every time in a 2-0. Now that it's a best of 5, do you have confidence it's just going to be another clean sweep of 3-0?
I think we go into every series expecting to win. Like, we don't want to lose a single game, and our track record has been pretty good against Mammoth, so yeah, we're hoping for a 3-0.
Now, can you take us through a bit of how the team's mental was after last night? Obviously not what you guys were hoping for, the quick 3-0. Take us through how you guys have bounced back for today.
I mean, I think everyone took some accountability. Like, no one played particularly well, so, you know, there's a few good signs. Like, no one's raging at each other or anything. We just reviewed the game today, and we're on to the next. Like, we all realize, you know, it's not over yet. We have a second life, so we're going to be using all our energy towards improving and winning, and then, yeah, we'll see.
And I guess speaking individually, you came in for Game 3 and you're starting here now. Can you take us through a bit what that dialogue is like behind the scenes to decide when it is your time to come in and when you are switching between the two?
Yeah, there's not too much dialogue, I guess. Like, we kind of just leave it up to the coach, and like he just has, well, he has the final say, like, on the day who's gonna play, because, you know, he's watching all the games and watching us both play, so he's gonna be the most unbiased, we hope. So yeah, it's usually just the coach's final call. It's not too much dialogue.
Cool.
Do you think that there is anything that you bring to the team or something about your playstyle that gives you an advantage over Mammoth? Something that you might be able to exploit with you in the jungle?
Probably just macro, micro, like decision making, mechanics, team
So all
fighting.
of it?
Yeah,
You wanna keep
champion
going?
pool, item build, you know, playing around vision, setting up vision, just everything. So
All right, so just a few things on the list there, Kevin.
That was all I
Okay,
had.
that was
Shane,
all.
best of luck for tonight.
thanks, Max, and that.
See ya.
Decision making, control map movement,
I was like, he's just
skirmishing
going to say
mechanics.
that,
Yeah.
and he just went straight ramble, copy
Yeah, when he was
pasta.
like, "Oh, macro," I was like, "All right, yeah, I could probably see that. How you guys use the bigger map micro? Okay,
That's everything.
decision making. Okay, warding, destroying wards, placing wards. Yeah, all right,
Okay, yeah.
I see where you're going here with that one. So he has a lot of faith in what they've got over Mammoth, and I mean, looking at their track record, we already talked about it a bunch of times, but I could see exactly why he would be feeling that way. Do you think that there is anything more specific about Kevy that adds another layer of value, specifically in the Mammoth matchup?
I think his biggest sense of value against Mammoth is the fact that he's beaten them so many times already, right? Like that to me
True,
is
the
the
mental
main
diff.
reason that you're putting him in. I think, yeah, maybe a mental diff, maybe the fact that he just knows the way that Mammoth play. I think that stylistically, him and Sully are kind of similar in the fact that they're both able to play the carries very proficiently, but have been sort of shifted to a more tank facilitative role. So I think that that gives them the best chance of matching up well into Mammoth.
And now when we look at Mammoth, we want to give them a little bit of hope, a little bit of copium. So Skimmy, what are you hoping is in the back pocket to be pulled out?
I'm looking towards TN personally. I'd like to see him have a nice stable early game and actually be able to be a factor where, much like we saw him on the Rumble, he's shoving in waves, he's able to rotate, he's able to influence the rest of the lanes. I think that could be the big deciding point for me, right? If he can link up with Sully quite well, they can look to try and assist Dajong, for instance, or they could at least try and make a play towards Chen and Yersun that we know are always hungry to fight. So if they can link up with a TP top lane, for example, I think there's definitely a chance for him to, keep Biopen at bay and say, we know that you're strong in the macro sense, but I want to try and win right here and now.
Yeah, well, look, unfortunately for you, Skim, we're not going to be seeing Tian right now. We are going to be seeing Dajong, though, for our interview. We'll bring him in. Dajong, you guys coming up against Chiefs yet again. Is it this a little bit of dread, or you're excited? You want to prove that you can beat them?
I mean, I'm definitely excited. Very, very nervous, to be honest. Yeah, I think, it is Chiefs. I think our record against them is 0-4 right now. But I think all of us are feeling confident still. Just need to win once. And we're feeling good.
Perfect. Now, did you guys watch the Chiefs series yesterday? And if so, what are the takeaways that you got from seeing them absolutely dismantled by Bliss?
Not to leak too much, but I think it definitely showed they have weaknesses that's exploitable. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what to say.
That's all good. Hey,
yeah.
you got to keep the cards close to the chest. I fully get it there. I want to talk about your matchup with Kisse, right? Dajong, I don't want to, blow out your ego here too much, but you have been looking fantastic in playoffs. You genuinely have surprised me every time and every game I see you. How would you rate your chances against Kisse? Do you think that you could be going toe-for-toe for him or even doing better than him in lane?
Yeah, I think I definitely can perform well this series. At the end of the day, I think it matters. Only reason I'm able to play like I am and playing well this whole playoffs is just my whole team gives me so much confidence, right? I genuinely believe they're all amazing players, and even if I get solo killed or die randomly here and there, I know my team can always back me up and always end up carrying the game. I don't have to be the one to always do that, so that's just what gives me confidence to play this game.
Good to hear. Now, I want to get a mid laner's perspective on the Chiefs jungle situation. We try to ask them why they switch in, switch out. I just want to get your simple perspective. And I'm just going to ask you, as a mid laner, who would you rather play against?
Oh, as a mid laner, definitely Babip. Babip doesn't gank mid, so it can be done. So definitely Babip. But yeah, I think skill-wise they're both very good. I don't think it makes too many differences other than champion choice. I think that's probably the main reason they're swapping, but I'm not really sure.
I do want to talk about champion choices a little bit more. Do you think when it comes to this mid lane, you're willing to pick similar styles of what Kese wants to go, or you're really wanting to pick whatever you want for yourself and the team comp on the side of Mammoth?
I mean, definitely there's some OPs this patch, right? Like Tristana, LB, to name a few. It really depends on draft. I think one of the big problems in our previous series against Chiefs is like we kind of got wrapped into playing their game, but we just really need to play our own game, play how we play the game, and I think that's definitely a really big key to success for us.
Great. Well, looking forward to you guys playing your own game, and best of luck tonight, Dajon.
Thank you guys. See you.
See ya. I'm really excited for this Dajon Kise matchup.
I didn't lie. I said Babip only ganks for players named Raze, and that's exactly what Dajon confirmed.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off, and then I was going to let you go, and then we both just said yes, and we just stopped. Rusty, what were you going to say?
I was going to say yes. Babip is notorious for 3 camps bot gank, 1 camp bot gap, 1 camp bot gap, gank.
There we go.
Bot gap. He's already said bot gap.
Gank. So having Kevin adds a little bit more flexibility. I think that just like plays into the minds of teams that verse Chiefs just a little bit more, where Babip has been known to be a little bit more of a coasting jungler. Solid, stable, very good jungler, but coasts more in the way that he plays it out and is more predictable. So Kevy, I would always look at Kevy for a game 1 if I was the Chiefs staff and start him to be a bit more unpredictable on the map.
We can see our side select here because we've had a lot of chat about champions. What we want to be seeing, Chiefs picking up blue side for themselves. They are that highest seed, so obviously they get game 1 pick up. Blue side, interesting? Not interesting.
Not too interesting. I don't really think it changes
I feel like they could
too
have
much.
coin flipped, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Chiefs, we talked about it yesterday, but they're very comfortable playing on either side of the map just because of the sort of solo lane flexibility that they have. Their draft pools are pretty wide as well, so I don't really think it changes
I think also their bans should just stay the same throughout most of this anyway. Like the Ivan's banned away from Mammoth a lot of the time, unless Babip's playing, maybe that's a factor. And the Rel has always been perma-banned away from them also. So it might just be a Tristana first pick priority here from Chiefs on blue side.
That's what it was last time, yeah. It's only been once that Chiefs have played blue side into Mammoth, and it was just a Tristana versus the Rel, rather Tristana versus the LeBlanc, because everything was up and available. So I'm curious to see if they're going to almost open up with that same sort of account, like have everything. If we smash you in game 1 with everything, then you're out of options.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 champs as well were the ones that Dajon was just mentioning there, so maybe that is an idea floating around their head of these are 2 OP ones. Maybe if we can handshake them, both get our hands on it, but I'm getting ahead of myself right now. All you guys at home need to focus on is the Dare fan vote. Have your say, put your channel points in the team that you think is going to win for game number 1. If you don't know where to put your points, it's over there, above the fridge, right where Rusty's sitting, in that top left, right hand corner.
One of the corners.
It is in the top half of the screen.
Right. Don't worry, I can't put an L up on the camera. I still do it backwards, so.
Our predictions here.
That's what I'm saying.
Swiftly moving on.
Moving
You're
forward.
on 28.
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm 1 behind you, Max. We're both going for Chiefs, so how many games is going to be the make or break for us here?
Well, I mean, 3-0. Look, just looking at past history, even though Chiefs played...
But you all went 3-0.
Yes, even though Chiefs played terribly, right, in their last series, it didn't even look close to any of the affairs they've had, right? I think, Rusty, you were talking about earlier, like the average game time is ridiculous.
26 minutes.
26 minutes for average game time across 4 games. It means they're just stomping every single game. It's reflected in KDAs, and I think, yes, the Chiefs showed weakness yesterday, but there's still that mental block for Mammoth.
Did we get the average game time of Mammoth's lower bracket series? 4 games?
Nope.
Well, look, I'll go do that math. We can compare them to see
that.
maybe if they have a fighting chance in them here. But Champ Select is ready for game 1. Let's see what's picked up.
Let's see what gets locked in here. That final best of 5 before the grand final awaits them. And for Bliss, they get to figure out who will be joining them on their flight over to the PCS. Chiefs going to kick it off here on the left-hand side, getting first pick priority. And right at the gates, it's actually going to be a first ban rotation on the Rumble rather than the second half.
Yeah, Rumble going to be taken away. So a couple of important pieces of business here for the side of Chiefs and Mammoth, right, is going to be through those targeted bans. We said Chiefs would go for a first pick Tristana. That's going to be taken away. It was too good for the Chiefs last time we had this matchup.
Yep.
Sejuani priority definitely still a factor. Kevy showed yesterday he's still willing to pick that one. So that's going to be taken away from him, even though he may default to a Viego. Sejuani's an issue for the strength of the laners. right? Being able to go for, like Shock said, the PCS does it, that first pick Renekton or something, or Jax. It just makes it a bit stronger and gives it winning lanes. The Rel also banned of necessity. The difference here is that Ivern has been left up. Now, I don't know if that's something the Chiefs will go into themselves. They may, but we also know that Mammoth love a good Kha'Zix LeBlanc into that. So LeBlanc does rise in priority right now, and so does the Kai'Sa.
I'm just going to say, absolutely, everything is up and available. I mentioned before, would this be the case of saying it's all there, but can you beat us with this? So the Nico first pick comes right out. Mammoth's going to be quite happy with that handshake if they can get their hands on the LeBlanc and the Ivern. Last time it was the LeBlanc and the Kai'Sa as they trade into the first pick priority from the Chiefs. This time, they're deciding, is the Ivern more impactful?
Yeah, I don't know if there is another. I guess Xayah can be looked at as an AD carry. That would be different from Mammoth if they choose to go for a second pick of Philios here. Kai'Sa still stands up to me as #1 on the list of ADC prospects. Badi LeBlanc, I guess, isn't the same as having a Jace in your comp. Like, that's odd to me. That one does feel a little bit out of place for my mind on OP champions that have been contested. So would that one.
That certainly would be, but it's had some murmurings around the world being locked in there. But I feel like the Kai'Sa is just far too good to give up. Almost like Chiefs are saying, have you really just given us Nico as well as Kai'Sa? Obviously, he is still a consideration towards the Xayah, right? Obviously, the Xayah was so impactful last night. And especially if you can get your hands on the Xayah, Rakan and Alador can give us a bit of a masterclass, then maybe we just go through this draft and forget that Kai'Sa even exists.
Yeah, I suppose we are. I mean, LeBlanc skews, like LeBlanc Nico being up and pickable skews a lot of the standard OPs in draft, right? Puts more of a priority towards those two champions, it seems, at the present moment. Xayah Rakan, just a really strong duo. Mammoth, usually at this point you would like to have a winning bot lane like a Leona here as your pick, right? So that you're set up with an Aphelios Leona, then you just go into the ban phase and play towards that side of the map. But it is Yersan, so when I say Leona, he says Alistar, and we'll lock in his favorite champion.
Yeah, he certainly will. If you get a permaban the Rel away from him, then the Alistar is certainly the next best available option. Into the second half of the ban phase then, as Mammoth will say, deny that Kindred do not allow you to play safe, peel, protect. Imagine that together, a Nico and a Kindred working in tandem. You're just unable to play the game as a result. Question then becomes then, what do Chiefs feel threatened by? What do they feel like they need to remove to try and make life a little bit more difficult? Well, the Ivern wasn't locked in, so we will just get to ban that away for free.
And it wouldn't surprise me too much if the Chiefs look towards a Wukong jungle here to go with it instead of that Kindred, right? Because now they just have the Wombo. That is what their comp is right now. Their ADC really good at coupling when moving forwards with that much Wombo, right? You just put all the feathers out throughout the duration of it.
Yep.
Viego, of course, can work here. So those are the two options that I think Mammoth now have to contest in their minds. What do they want to get rid of? They are instead going to go towards the Vi. This is something that Kevy has played in playoffs already and did look quite good on the pick.
I like your reasoning, though, behind the idea of a Wukong or a Viego, because that's when they found the most success when it was Kisei on the Annie, which I would say Nico is going to function in a similar sense, right? Stun, CC, lockdown, complements the jungler to get involved as well. And really does give Kevy pretty much any option.
Also, Teamfighter and Cyclone stops LeBlanc Distortion and Alistar Headbutt. So I think there's just immense value in that pick for them right now. And you'd expect predictably where the top laners are going at the moment, especially if you're going to lock this one fourth here for Mammoth. So the blind Renekton, I mean, straight up, if it's Cassante Wukong, I think Chiefs have Exodia in my mind for how they want to play. Plenty of choices, though, ultimately.
I suppose the question mark now is, do they need the isolated engage or do they need the long-range engage that the Ornn would offer instead? A bit of scaling prospect as well, which is what Biopanther is eventually going to settle himself on. Will it be the Wukong or will it be the Viego? Those seem to be the options that we're most sold on right now. And that's what they're deciding on, as that will be their fifth and final pick. Is Aladoric? He's just going to taunt us with every other jungle available to them.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could barely recognize that's Urgot with the close-up on him. As we do get, I feel like, the expected confirmation here for the overall draft of the Chiefs. Mammoth with this Renekton pick. They've banned the Sejuani away themselves. They've also banned a Kindred and Vi away from their jungler, who may go for a Kha'Zix, may go for a Trundle. Poppy's not going to be available for him, so those are the two choices I think that he will be mainly musing over. I don't know if Sully plays the Viego. Plays a Hecarim, but
Hecarim we haven't seen in a long time, have we? Yeah, he's obviously a very good Hecarim, but Trundle seems to be his default pick when everything else gets target banned away, so is going to get his hands on that one. I mean, we can remember the fact that he went, what, 4-0, picked up Trinity Force and said, that's enough carry items for me.
Yep.
Back to being a support again.
No foul.
Certainly is very, very good on the troll, but let's see if this is enough for them to try and get their very first victory into the Chiefs. You mentioned it before, and I'm going to certainly echo that statement. I feel like Chiefs just got Exodia. I feel like the big question mark for me is the Aphelios, when all the other champions are up and available, and Chiefs kind of saying, are you really letting us have this?
Yeah, and we go through a draft with Kai'Sa just up and available and left unpicked. And again, you know, there has been some nerfs to Static Shiv in 13-13. Doesn't mean we've stopped seeing those champions. LeBlanc's here for a reason, first of all. But yeah, no Kai'Sa to be seen. Chiefs go for essentially a teamfight composition, essentially front to back, but with a lot of added flexibility, a lot of added creativity to their composition. And this is one of the reasons I love this comp so much, right? So it's not just team fighting. It's a Rakan that can snap engage on anyone. It's a Wukong that can be creative with the use of his clone and being able to dash over walls, and an Ornn who can just throw pot shots. And that's not including the Nico who can be a plant. And so if they bring them towards you, if Chiefs bring Mammoth towards them in this game, they're going to have the freest engagers of their life.
That they certainly are. I think it's just so fascinating how the differences in draft can take place from last night into today. We haven't seen Dajing ever play the Jace, so I suppose the Jace Kai'Sa composition, which was prolifically banned out by Chiefs last night, not even looked at, not even banned, not even considered. They've got what they want, they've got what they need to try and open up their account here and make it 5-0 into the matchup of Mammoth and Split 2 here. As for them though, the Dark Horse, the underdog, the team that are looking to try and get the job done, looking to try and find themselves going to the PCS as well. They're coming with a slightly different idea, a slightly different approach. But is it enough to try and take down what we would imagine is a very angry Chiefs?
And one best of 5 here, Skimmy, separates the Chiefs from an opportunity for the three-peat in the LCO. And Mammoth, first of all, their first international re-debut since 2019 and their first LCO finals, period. Very important best of 5 here for both of these teams. A curse looms over the head of Mammoth. They have not been able to beat the Chiefs, and it has not been close a single time. Matchups they should win, they lose. Lanes they should have control in, they lose. It seems like the wheels just fall off when they look at the Chiefs and go head to head. So game number 1 in this series, you would say, is crucial.
And to that extent, I think it's an interesting conversation as to who feels the pressure more. Is it on Mammoth to say that we need to get this victory? This is not the team we wanted to go into, but it's the fate we find ourselves in. It was at Chiefs saying, we're in a lower bracket now, we've beaten this team before, so we should just be able to beat them again.
I do think Chiefs come into today. The fact that they said they're not upset, they're not angry at each other, it is just business for them. Tien, however, wants to upset that apple cart very early on and try some business of his own. We'll spot them doing the blue buff at level 1, put some damage down onto Biopanther, and Sully on the top side of the map. We'll see if nerves affect either of these teams as we get into this.
Absolutely. Both junglers then starting towards the top half of the map, looking to try and path towards their bot laners. Be curious to see if we would get ourselves a very quick first blood in this game. Certainly has been explosive in the past between these two teams. We talked about the KDAs before and how devastating it has been in favor of multiple Chiefs members. But the Nico LeBlanc matchup, the battle of the two OP champions, one going for the Static Shiv, the other just for innate wave clear.
They call me crazy here, Skimmy, but I think Kisse wants to be an ADC in his next life. He's only been ADCs when he plays Nico now.
It was Tristana before, Zaya today.
Permanently sitting there as AD carries, of course, makes sense. He wants to get that bonus attack speed. I believe ADCs are slightly higher. But nothing truly doing so far on the map. The way that Trundle has played the top side, Sully, if he's going to cross over here, then it is just a big wave that crashes. His first priority looks at mid lane.
Yeah, he's just going to check out the pillar and see what they can find, and not too much harass comes out from Dajing there to really follow things up, so Kisse going to be sitting pretty for the meantime. But it does give him safe passage and to rotate down into the bottom half of the map.
That also gives safe passage for Biopanther, who was very much struggling with the way that wave was built in top. Sully saying, I'm not going near that one at all. Will immediately spot the Ward of Rays and sweep that one away, go back to his blue buff, and just go for the 6 camp clear in the end. Kevi quietly doing the exact same thing. Has moved from the blue buff that the Mammoth knew about as well, and has moved towards his bottom side of the map. Yerstan flashing.
Yerstan going in, it's level 3, and they're looking to try and make a first blood happen, raised the focus, and he's forced to flash away. Held the cleanse, didn't need to burn that to deny the ignite. Feels the wrath of an inspired bot lane here from Mammoth, who are really hunting Unable to find what they're after just yet, though.
Flash. No, you never know with Yersan. He is liable to, for better or worse, still make that play. We'll opt out of it this time around.
Nice ward in the bush, though. Kevin not being able to sweep that one away does mean that deters him from hanging around in the area much longer, but we can see that Sully is making his way into lane himself. Still, Kevy is in the area by those Krugs.
And this could actually be a baited engage here, right? Kevy sticking around. If they look to go for it themselves, Aladoric could find himself a Trundle.
Goes in for the two-main grand entrance, gets headbutted away, flashes away, but the Calibrum just locks him on down. Goes to him a little bit too strong. First blood picked up there for Sully. They read the play, they made it work, and Mammoth were on the board.
And for once in our lives as casters, that was not a curse, it was a prediction. And it actually plays out the way that we said it would. Essentially baited into that play, right? Aladoric finds his moment, but the second he goes in, there is a Hex-flashed Alistar who just pulverizes on site, headbutts him back towards the Trundle, and cannot cover enough distance. I think it might have been a pillar, or it might have been the Gravitum activation that cancels Aladoric here, but he doesn't get the full distance. So it was the Gravitum, yeah, it wasn't the full distance, it was the dash back towards Raze. Keeps him in auto attack range, and just like that, they get the damage.
Look at this, though, isn't this cheeky from Tien? He's going for the proxy, and it's like, well, you can't just do this into the Chief. Surely not. There's 3 members here now. You are going to fall on down. You are going to get taken down, and they hand that kill across towards Kevy. Now in the mid lane, we look towards Kisei, as Yersan goes for a roam to match with Aladoric, but they're unable to find a kill of their own.
Does look like he was just here for a little bit of pressure because he had some time. Just quickly as well, something we haven't highlighted too much is the bottom lane of Chiefs vs Mammoth as champions. One of the best things about Philios in general, is how strong he is in those laning phases, right? You've seen Draven get picked here and there. Philios can match it decently well because you get a bit of extra range, you get a bit of extra sustain. Sometimes you get a bit of extra crowd control or wave clear, and if you play your cards right, you weather most difficult lane matchups and get yourself to that item or that team fight, or just most importantly, you get to sit back and play passively as your team requires. So if you are going for the Aphelios, it's a sign that you just wanted an easy, blind, pickable carry that will do its job at all points, and if you get to 3 items, 4 items in your team fighting, it's still going to be an issue. It could be a Jinx. Jinx not as reliable in that laning phase like an Aphelios may be.
For sure. The weapon cycling being a little bit too important in that fact, right? The ability to switch up how you want to approach a situation, and the situation that presents itself right now is very first Dragon. That's on Vision by Chiefs. They'll be fully aware of this one, but with a bot wave they have to attend to, they'll be rocking up a little bit late, but Kisei's coming down too, dodging, entertaining the idea as well. When a Hex Flash away, dragging the Dragon out of the pit, does mean that we have this bit of a standoff as the 2 mid laners will trade a bit of CC between one another.
Drake getting low. Remember, Kisei is level 6. They are hunting to use that Nico ultimate. Potentially, they'll get the flash out of Sully, but the reinforcements are still here from Mammoth.
Look at Tien.
Tien on the way, and Yersan with that Hex Flash in 5 to 10 seconds could get a huge flank. But it looks like Skimmy Mammoth will get their 3rd objective in 5 games.
Kisei, it's a little bit great.
Was it? He got them as well.
Got them as well.
He got them big time, but doesn't matter. They were conceding the objective regardless.
Nicely done, though. First Dragon is going to go the way here for Mammoth, and the trade-off is the fact that, well, both TPs were burned. As long as Tien comes on down, that means that Biopemper just gets free reign to push on top side, crash a wave, get some plates, get some gold, and try and make his matchup a little bit better.
And I don't want to say too much yet, Skimmy, but in terms of breaking that curse, in terms of hope for the side of Mammoth, and for us having a banger series, this is an even game. This is not a blowout where the average game time of 26 minutes feels like it's in our sights right now. Chiefs are not commanding. They're not just solo killing their lanes. They're fighting bottom again.
They certainly are. They're looking for the perfect Blade Caller to bring it all back. Yersan flushed away. The feathers go out, and that's enough to get the kill. Aladoric taking it with that Ignite. And they'll try and hunt down Chain as well, but just at a range to find themselves a second. Level 6 advantage being the difference there.
Yeah, they get a nice little kill down there, and the size of this wave that is crashing is a little bit of an issue if Chiefs chose to pressure. Too many things were used, however, so at the very least, Aphelios survives, keeps the flashing, manages to catch that minion wave. But still signs of hope here for Chiefs, equalizing the gold effectively and looking towards this Rift Herald.
They certainly are. So Kisei's going to Hope give Kisei, Rubber Kevi and Biopanther a bit of a hand here to take this one down, but it's not going to go for free. Tien is here, Yerson as well, and Dajun looking at it, but really that is all they were doing. Yeah, picked up now by Kevi, and the lane swap as Raze rotates the top lane.
Timed really nicely with the Herald being taken and having not seen Raze yet. The possibility is there to hard push this wave and just collapse on the top lane tower, but keep in mind that Mammoth are somewhat close to the area. The Alistar had already showed roaming towards the Rift Herald as he was clearing out wards, and Suli's now going to make his way up here. So if Kevi chooses to summon the Herald, there will be reinforcements as Yersan finds Kevi in that bush.
He's going to go for the phase shake, but the jump away is good. Tien looking to try and be active, but he's already popped the ultimate and already found himself very, very low. Flash on in, hit the Cyclone and take down the Crocodile. And just caught in a lane flip they weren't expecting, and Chiefs find another.
Essentially opting into the 3v3. Knowing the dangers of it, the second they saw Kevi, they still commit to that play and end up falling down for it. 1-0-1 scoreline here for Raze. Very happy position in this game right now, as they still have that Herald to summon.
That they certainly do, Rusty. They're going to summon it right now and look to put a lot of damage in towards this turret. Get as many plates as they can. The quickness, the charm, the damage, the CC cleanse. As the gold collected, and Chiefs back away. MF trying to really deter them from that, and they'll get some summoners for their effort, and that really will be it.
Sully subjugates. It looks like the Chiefs are going to commit themselves to one more wave here. Yersan has just ticked over to level 6, so he's going to stick around to make sure that Chaeyon is safe while the Chiefs remain. So they will just go for that recall now. Everyone will go back to their regular laning, just Australian lanes at present.
I like that term.
Australian lanes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It does make sense, doesn't it?
Anybody else thinking, what is this guy on about? But it makes sense.
And the static shift done here for Dajong. So now we start to hit that point in the game, that notoriously annoying portion for Kisei, but for everybody really, where Dajong just one-taps waves and then disappears. Can play aggressively with the team, can play for objectives a little bit more, just has more time, has more space, and is able to create more real estate for Mammoth. And look for those opportunities, which is certainly what they're after. A LeBlanc working with a Trundle, Renekton single target, Alistar looking for that headbutt pulverize. They would love some early kills and some early skirmishes with number advantages. LeBlanc can provide that now.
Certainly can. We've seen that Dajong is quite proficient when given those opportunities to hunt for them. He's going to remember that to stalk backwards underneath this tower, collapsed on by 4, managed to take 2 in the process. He's a madman, but playing the champion to its limits. Will we find those opportunities to rotate as he'll be forced to answer the matchup with this Necro for the meantime.
And it is also a slight item advantage across the board at the moment, right? The Renekton has finished a Gore Drinker compared to the component items of the Ornn, who's built a little bit more for that laning phase. Unfortunately for them, you know, for 35 seconds is going to be no objective, but the teleports are going to be up for that one. I would encourage Mammoth to consider this one at the very least, but those items are coming across for their opponents at the same time, so not as simple as they may have liked.
Yeah, quite rightly, as you point out, Kevi's now picked himself up the Divine Thunder, and I can imagine that the AD carries aren't too far behind. Ray's already sitting on that Kraken Slayer too, so whilst the gold is really only 600 in it, really is all going to be about that execution if both teams were to look to commit to a full 5v5 around Dragon number 2. Both junglers drawn to the side of the map as to be expected, and maybe looking to see if they can find any aggression between these bot lane 2v2.
Teleports used in mid. Biopanther finds a little bit of priority to walk down the river just in case Sully was nearby. Will hover his mid. And meanwhile, Kevi, speaking of hovering, is a helicopter parent for the bottom lane. And now we poise ourselves for the Drake. Now we look towards these fights. Dajong, Kisei going to find one another.
Yeah, Darshan trying to be a bit of a menace on the flank there, really act as a gatekeeper to prevent Kisei from going in for that fight. The TP into bot lane. They're going to try and find Kevi. Kevi is so low right now. Where does he go? He's got no flash. He's going to try and spin to win. Great ultimate to deny Sully. Has he got out? He certainly hasn't. As Darshan commits absolutely everything to take him on down. But Bio's here, he hits the ultimate, he knocks up one, the flash pop blossom onto 3, and whilst Yosun flashes away, it means Chaeyon is going on down. Tien swings the axe around and takes one in the process, so both AD carries won't be here now.
but Chiefs is still strong. Kisei rotating through cooldowns, hits the barbs, hits the double, and doubles the kill count.
And Kisei is an absolute teamfight demon for the Chiefs. He is unleashed and unrelenting when these fights come about. When he gets the Nico, 2-0-1 scoreline now, is very happy about that one. They will not be able to go straight towards the Drake. However, it is Mammoth that seem to be able to prey upon those recalls. But the money goes into the hands of the Chiefs. The first big team fight that we get for them seems to swing their way. And on the back of their mid lane, the Chiefs will hold it down early.
Yeah, they certainly will. Massive win in that regard, but it is still to be Mammoth looking at this very second Dragon. They found the first. They've got to work towards that soul point. Does Kevy have something to say about matters, though? He's got his flash available now. He's jumped across the wall. He's jumped on in to steal it away. And he says, yoink, it's just a little bit too easy. Hit your smite button, and then we go for it. But then Raze, isolated from the rest of the team, takes the fight into Yerston 1v1, but we're still fighting inside that Dragon Pit as Kevy chases Dajong across the wall. And where does he run? As he gets bonked on the head.
Steals the Drake, gets a kill, and they all just get to walk away from that skirmish, and suddenly Chiefs turn up the tempo, and Mammoth do the Drake a little bit too slowly. We watch this fight back one more time. The Wukong ultimate is clutch. We were talking about this in Champs League, but what it provides for disengage, what it does to an Alistar, it even stops the Trundle flashed auto attack being a melee character, and somehow, by some miracle, it almost feels like he's able to survive, which just creates all this extra effort from Mammoth. The flash has to be used from Dajong to even get that kill, but also separates Mammoth and Dajong from the rest of his team. Kisei finds that Pop Blossom, just flashes forwards, locks down 3, even hits the root onto Yerstan, so there's no way forward for this Alistar. And in that time, Tien goes down, and Yerstan left just trying to help the stragglers as they barely held on.
As we jump back to the action, it was actually Tien, Speak of the Devil, taking down a kill in that top lane. He's just removed Kevy. That's allowed them to go for the second objective. And look at that. I mean, Rusty, they're just already doubling their count of objectives across 4 games in 1. They're really coming into this one saying, we mean business.
We want something.
We aren't going to get humbled like we have before.
Well, look, they certainly are keeping the fight up in this game. We celebrate the fact the Chiefs got the fight. They get the Drake afterwards as well as an extra kill on the Dajong. But we come back and Mammoth is still fighting, and this is what we wanted to see from them. We don't want to see, you know, the mental effects of having only lost to the Chiefs in devastating waves. This is a close affair. This is a very close affair.
Certainly is very different to what we've missed out on in the past. This is how it all begins. I mean, Tien's just crashing in a massive way. Bio entertains it, and Kevy rotates for it. But then Tien just goes God mode and just 1v2s.
Yeah, we know that Kevy had no flash from the play that he made on the LeBlanc, and also, you know, with this ultimate, you wouldn't think that they'd be dying here, but really I think it's just a teleport from Dajong that comes through. He probably was going to die if there was no LeBlanc there, and he's saved by his mid laner.
Golden Meek and Gore Drinker giving him just enough time to sustain his way through for that TP to connect. And Tien looking a lot happier now as the Renekton. Potentially throwing up a bit of a trap now in the mid lane, waiting to see if Chain would step up to that next wave or not, as 3 members of the Chiefs wait in the top side of this river bush.
Flashless AD carry. No sums there for most members here though, so it's hard to find it.
We're on. He hits the ghost, as does Aladora, as he looks to try and land a grand entrance, but it just doesn't connect. Yosin across the wall goes in for the one-man pulverize and says, do not touch my AD carry. But the TP's now looking to try and make it a fight that Mammoth could win out on. The Tangled Barbs instantly locking down the Crocodile. And Chiefs will admit defeat on this occasion as they back away.
While it might be a defeat, look at top lane as well, right? They bring the LeBlanc up here without the teleport. Tien uses his. So Bio with a distinct advantage on the map right now is able to break that structure down and gets the freedom of choice from here on out. Can probably go back to bottom once he sees the Renekton. But still, Chiefs, while they don't get their engage, they'll get the Ghost out of Cheon. They'll get a tower in top lane. They'll keep control of this game. But Mammoth still in fighting form, looking for a bot lane out of turret themselves.
They certainly are, and it is really hanging on for dear life right now. Kisei needs insurance, he needs backup. The TP comes out, instantly turns Sully away. Kevy's here in the area as well, so that forces out a flash, and Kevy can just hop, skip, and jump across the wall, easy as you like it. The Cyclone, just out of range. Almost taunting him on that frozen domain as he runs away with his Nikes on.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that that was out of range. He just hit him with the red buff. Nimbus strike, but nope. Turned a little bit too fast. Flash was still used though, so Summoner spell's gone now. And that's the most recent flash. The rest of them are now up and available. I feel like we're getting a consistent timer here. When the Drake is up, everything is going to be up. Herald to be summoned, Chiefs. It seems like they're grouping into the area, Skimmy, and this may be a fight, but that affiliate assault just missed.
The Herald is summoned, and it does find then their second turret of the game. That evens up the scoreboard there as Yersign has dropped dangerously low. That really cripples their chances of trying to make themselves find a great setup for that next dragon. Going to be an Ocean Soul both these teams are playing for. Certainly the one you're hunting for.
Yeah, they're done with contesting. Mammoth's just going to go back to base. You could see some assist pings towards the top side jungle, perhaps. Sully going to sneak away this blue buff as fast as he can to make sure that doesn't get stolen away. Just simple recalls here from Mammoth. If Chiefs do this on spawn, there will be a no contest. They're just going to push in and crash that top wave, maybe get 2 waves of minions. Get the money that they possibly can find on the map with no risk involved.
Well, let's see then where all that gold lays at the meantime. As you can see there, Tien, top of the charts. A very happy Renekton. Ray's not too far behind him as Dajang's also staying on top of Kisei in this 1v1. Despite Kisei having the perfect KDA, just the beauty, I suppose, of that static shivs allowed the LeBlanc to farm up a tree.
100% has helped out the LeBlanc quite a lot. The biggest thing for me is the fact that Tien's at #1. Big fight, though.
Kisei going in for the one-man ultimate. Aladoric uses a passenger to try and jump on in and make sure that Dajang falls on down. The Tangle Barbs connect, the clones get popped, and the rip back of the feathers is not enough for the kill, so Kisei goes in for the steal. Everybody looking to try and get the killing blow there with the Ignite rocket belt ticking. But they do deter the side lane pressure, at least in top lane.
Yes, Croc is still going to be an issue. Mentioned it before, but Tien #1 in the gold, also 40 CS up, also has now broken another tower. Is in very good stead in this game. Renekton, not a champion that is notorious for their scaling, however. It is more about that early to mid-game strength, but in team fights, if he's fed, he can be an absolute brick wall. And very difficult to get through, and I wouldn't say that, you know, Kisei is a champion that's designed to kill tanks. It's going to be mostly Raze with his 2 items done. That's going to have to deal with this Crocodile, as he's going to use abilities on a ward to show it is instead of a ward ping. We communicate differently here at the Chiefs, apparently.
He's been playing too much 2v2.
Speaking of teleports, he actually has been playing too much 2v2.
He's been playing a whole bunch of it.
He's got a lot of 2v2 games.
He's got the mechanics warmed up and ready for this series, to tell you that much. Subjugate going out nicely onto Kisei. He is the focus. Can he be clever with it? The Rocket Belt 2-man knockup. Tien jumps in, but the damage is already done. It's too little too late. Tien, he's so strong. He flat pounce, swipes them down, but Kisei's still alive. And that's pure frustration, as it looked like Mammoth's fight to win, but nobody from the Chiefs falls.
Mammoth choose the fight, and Mammoth ultimately lose that. Can Kisei be creative was your question, Skimmy? The answer is a resounding yes. He breaks their ankles. And this Nico should never be seen again in the hands of Kisei. He is way too good with this pick, and it is doing way too much work to stop Mammoth from getting these picks that they're after. Uses the clone brilliantly here, jiggles around, blocks the chains, gets the ultimate off, and just locks them down with a Wukong and a Rakan to follow. And even this second time the flash done, he still gets that W off. A little bit of confusion there from Tien, right? Hurts himself in confusion because he doesn't know which one's real anymore, and goes down. They just throw everything at this Nico and get absolutely nothing.
They think they found the jump, they think they found the isolated kill, they feel like they've got themselves a massive shutdown, completely denied. And the most fed member falling down in the process as well. That might be the big swing of the game, the tempo of it all really at 22 minutes in, as Chiefs now do take themselves a 3k gold lead. And as a result, pick up the Baron to begin attacking all these lanes.
Yeah, the teleport from Biopanther towards top lane as well, trying to keep the Baron empowerment on those minions. Chiefs were looking for the collapse, but Yersign keeps them busy and entertained in mid, so the wave still dies. But their efforts towards both of these inner turrets remain.
Yersign's jumped in, 2-man pulverized, but he gets charmed up there by Aladoric as a result, so that completely dissuades the fight from going much further. Both supports been a massive impact, but Tien comes in, he's rooted in place. The Call of the Forge God knocks up the Crocodile, in jumps Aladoric, Raze to get the kill, and Kisei, he'll miss the ultimate, but the damage has already been done.
And they continue to push in mid lane. No matter how fed you are as a Renekton, if you can't attack anyone, you are useless, and they continue to push forwards.
Another route, another chance to find a kill, but the Alistair denies it for the meantime, even without the ultimate. A little bit too tanky. That will mean Eladoric falls on down in the process. They'll take a turret, but they've got to try and walk themselves out of the situation. And the Pillar's been a bit of a menace right now. It's zoning them, but as Chain overextended himself to try and make this happen, I think he has. He went in for the flash plane. Yes, his damage is absurd, but it's going to stay that way because he's now got a grey screen.
And Raze just gets to freely hit. Kisse able to stand and deliver damage even while kiting backwards, and Kevy really the hero of that last little skirmish. And Chiefs have just turned on the acceleration. I like this attempt from Mammoth. Yersan finds the triple knock-up, but he doesn't have follow-through from the rest of his team. Tian's flank with this teleport is so wide that it takes too long to get there. Biopanther's being attacked by LeBlanc and is ignoring Dajang like he's just a mosquito in his ear because he's helping the rest of the Chiefs. What matters is that the rest of the team stays alive. They continue to press forwards here, Chiefs. They continue to look for their angles, and they will just find it time after time. These Tangle Blobs do not miss from Kisse. And too far forwards here once again. This is a game where the Trundle's impact is lacking, and you kind of wish it was a different champion. The Pillar's nice, right? It sets up the purple weapon, and the auto attacks come through. But then along comes Kevy with the ultimate Wukong pick, to be perfectly honest with you, has just ruined Mammoth's comp.
Crowded to a tight corridor makes it very easy then for the Wukong to layer that ultimate and find what he's after, and forced them to all come crumbling down. And whilst the Baron is now expired, the pressure still continues. It's mounting towards Mammoth. They're stuck inside their base now, and I felt like that moment was the deciding factor. 22 minutes in, they're up by such a sizable amount of gold that they're looking to try and break themselves an inhibitor. In we jump for the 3-man knockup once again. The Moonlight Vigil with the blue weapon, patting Chiefs down low. Aladoric just manages to worm his way out.
Dajang could chase here with the static Shiv procs as well. They have to be super careful of Mammoth. No teleport from this Renekton, though, is the saving grace. And the reason the Chiefs went for that in the first place, knowing full well they have this 4v5. They will still get themselves the Drake. From the looks of it, no contest from Mammoth. They're actually going to plant themselves towards the enemy blue buff here in the Chiefs side of the map. See if they can maybe steal away some gold, steal away some objectives, or cheese, right? Get the blue buff and just wait in the bush together and see if someone wants to come and face check that. If you find a Kisse, you're happy. They may not take that risk, though, not feeling too safe on the map right now.
Clear indication from their pings, though, where to take that blue buff, but to try and play towards these objective bounties, try and remove these extra turrets to try and close back that gold lead. It's 5k in favor of Chiefs. We're checking again, and once upon a time, it was Tien at the top of the table, but now those two carry threats off the side of Chiefs really are away and singing.
They certainly are through both of those carry positions. Chiefs are a dangerous squad if they find any semblance of a lead through Kisse or Raze. Mammoth with their leads on the other side of the map for the most part of this game as well, right? It was Sully and Tien that found their advantages. You've got hard farming from Dajang as well. He's by no means weak. But they just haven't had the same strength from the core of their bottom lane here in Yersan and Cheon. And the reason that I do think this Wukong pick is just so good is because it cancels Slice and Dice, it cancels the Distortion, it cancels Headbutt Pulverize. If you're perfectly positioned here from Kevy, your team is so safe just standing behind you when you Cyclone. The Mammoth's ease of entry into these fights it's almost flank necessity, right? They cannot front to back, they have to pincer.
And it's almost like, what world are we celebrating a 5th pick on blue side being the deciding factor? That was the Wukong, but it's worked out so well. No doubt going to be singing their praises. 30 seconds then, and the next Baron to look forward to. Not only that, but Chiefs having a potential Ocean Soul on the cards as well, so they can take as long as they want to try and play this one out. They've got themselves item advantages, and as you say, Mammoth are by no stretch weak at all, but it's just a disparity. You've got an item lead in all the right places.
And Sully would love to hit the Subjugate on Biopanther. They would love to be able to just shred front to back in that respect, right? Take out the tanks, find their opportunity, but the teleports are going to come through. The AoE from the Chiefs is just so high as well that you want to try and go for that front to back. You've got to deal with Aladoric, you've got to deal with Kevy and Kisse all also jumping on top of you. As now the Chiefs pressure the river. Sight set on Baron.
Aladoric hitting the Shrilliers just moments before, trying to make a play happen in the mid lane as they force the rest of Mammoth to group up and not continue to attend to those side lanes that are pushing against them. They want to force them into a fight, and they want it to be on their terms.
Desperate to get wards down, right? They sneak a ward inside the Baron pit, but it's control warded, so they get nothing. They've been rewarded with nothing, and Yerstan is out of ward, so he has to go back to base. If you're the Chiefs and you have any knowledge of that, the Baron's just free. The support is just missing on the map. Kisei sends in the clones to see if he finds them in the bush, and already half health on Tien. He's ulted.
He's hit the ultimate. He's got the flash. Are they concerned about the Baron? Well, they have to be now. In jumps then. Oh my god, he's done it! Sully has stolen the Baron. He'll die for it, but he's bailed Mammoth out from a situation that looks so dire for just a second.
Yeah, Sully straight up does the impossible here for Mammoth. Keeps them in the game within arm's reach. They're still at risk of losing with an Ocean Soul. With one more team fight, the Nexus could fall. But they've got a Baron buff now, right? They've just earned 1,500 gold, 300 apiece. And how does this happen? Well, simply put, Tien just zones them away, ults as best he can to keep them busy with him, and then a LeBlanc and a Trundle go over the wall. And they just put damage down at the same time, and that trips up Kevy just enough.
Almost as if they were so zoned in on trying to stop Tien making the play that they forgot the rest of Mammoth existed. We look to try and now take him down as a result. 4 members in the air as he slices and dices his way out of harm's way. But the inevitable does occur, and that's one more Baron buff removed as Chiefs attack these side lanes.
Dajang looking to threaten the split push himself now, right? Has got that Baron buff, so can do it quite successfully. But we'll find BioPanther here. It'll take Bio a very long time to clear the waves. But the priority is now going to be back towards defense. It's just making money here if you're Mammoth. Even an even Baron power play is still, you know, 3 minutes where you've got that Baron buff, where you've actually farmed up your carries. Cheon with 3 items done. Starting to become a problem just naturally through that CS. And a 4,000 gold lead is not enough for the Chiefs to say this game is over by any means. And the fact, Skimmy, that we are 30 minutes into game number 1 and the game isn't over, this is already 4 minutes longer than Mammoth's average game time against the Chiefs in their losses.
It certainly is worth celebrating. This is a very different style of Mammoth coming into this one. Sample size of 4 to reflect on, and certainly aren't letting history really be a deterrence on their mental. Soul point for the Chiefs. This is the one they want. Can Mammoth look to deny it again?
Tien spotted on the flank. Drake has been started. Chiefs with an epic team fight comp as well has to be respected. Mammoth with the pincers in place with the Ornhorns out.
Drake resets, jumps across the wall with Kevin, knocks him up once, takes him down twice. Chain is dead, he can't even hit the flash, he's gone, the pop lost him, knocking up 2, Sully in trouble, no jungler, no chance for this Drake to be there. Raze goes golden as his team protects, he peels away, receives the shield, and comes in with the triple.
The teleports come through from the Chiefs, and game number 1 of this series is done and dusted. A 6k damage team fight from Raze. And the Chiefs, almost as if they heard us, said, look, 30 minutes might be a longer game than we're used to, but it's not going to be a different result. Game number 1 of this series is all blue.
Check the timer and said, this is not how it was meant to be. We're far better than this. We'll get that soul point. We'll get that minion wave. We'll hit that TP, and we'll take down your Nexus in the process. You can get stronger. You can give us a challenge. You can make us run for it. But at the end of the day, it is us still taking down the game and starting this series 1-0.
And really, again, we can celebrate the Chiefs in a lot of ways here. The first one for me is the man on your screen right now. Kisei with the Nico really was a large part of the difference between these teams. His Nico was insane. His performance individually was insane. He still hit those big team fight 3-man ultimates. Aladoric is frozen with elation. And I think, again, the draft from the Chiefs was just so straightforward. They just picked team fights. They weren't afraid to go to 30 minutes. They didn't feel pressured. And they just need that one team fight to win and prove that that strategy just always works.
I'm starting to wonder if anyone in Mammoth actually watched the series of Chiefs and Bliss yesterday. Bliss got their hands on the Xayah Rakan. It absolutely decimated. Chiefs know it. They were on the receiving end of it. They're willing to do that handshake yet again, take it for themselves. They're also getting Nico. This draft, even just from the first 3 picks, Max felt like it was pretty much all Chiefs.
I thought this was a massive draft gap, to be honest, this game. I think that the comp that Mammoth drafted themselves, they very much put themselves on a timer and in a bit of a hole, right? They have the amount of single target damage that they have compared to the amount of AoE they have was incredible, right? You look at all these champions, they excel at finding one target and blowing them up. What does that mean? Okay, well that means in early Herald fights, in early fights around objectives, we're going to be able to pick one target and blow them up effectively, use that lead to snowball, and win the game through that way. We just saw them do none of that, get to these objective fights where it's a 5v5, and then Kisei's on Nico, you've got a Xayah Rakan Wukong with an Ornn ultimate over the top of it, and plain and simple, you are never going to be winning those fights. So to me, Mammoth really put themselves in a hole with the way they approach drafts.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to be easily dissuaded by the side of Chiefs, the way that they're able to have that composition. Another thing is seeing this fight take out. This one actually is perfect timing for me. They wanted to go here onto Kisei, onto the Nico there, but they weren't actually all going for it. So you're a team comp, like you said, Max, that wants to blow up one target, but there's 3 of you there that aren't all even going on the same target. That could have been your time to be able to come back into the game.
I mean, that and as well, Kisei just had the game of his mind, right? He looks incredible on this Nico. When I was watching that play, I just knew that was going to be a highlight because of the way he's juking with the clone and the ultimate usage as well, right? This is a champion that's been so hotly contested for this entire split for this reason, right? It's so good in lane, it's so good at team fighting as well, and in the hands of a mechanical player like Kisei, you just can't give this over.
That bot lane as well, we talked about it. We thought that was going to be another realm in which Mammoth could be able to get back into this, but Cheon and Yerson, they didn't really have any amount of impact. I would say Dajong and Tien were the 2 standouts for me on what Mammoth were able to get done.
They had a good first couple minutes, right? There was a sequence where they managed to find the kill onto Aladoric with the counter gank bot lane, translate that into a dragon. That is exactly what they need to do, right? This Trundle isn't very good at actually being proactive unless he's playing with a solo laner, right? So to me, using that lead, finding a counter gank and then translating it into an objective is exactly what Mammoth needed to do, but time and time again the Chiefs denied them those opportunities and forced 5v5s.
We also talked about the explosiveness of Kevin coming in and what he was going to be able to offer to the side of Chiefs in this matchup against Mammoth, and he looked fantastic. Yet again, the ability that the Chiefs were able to play around with him here, I definitely see why he was starting off today in game 1.
Yeah, he was a large part of the draft gap for me as well with this Wukong as a pretty free champion to choose in this draft to counter everything that Mammoth basically had for themselves. And you know, I think the biggest thing for me, right, is first of all, Mammoth made it further in the game in an even game state. They should be happy about that. But the second thing is if that's the way the games are going to be played out and you're looking at a more apprehensive, more teamfight-oriented Chiefs, and you're playing a pick comp, you have to be the one that plays faster. And if not, then you should look at replicating what the Chiefs just did to you, right? Which is just pick another teamfight comp and be able to meet them in the middle, because that's really where it felt like things started to fall apart for them just a little bit.
That is something that we talked about coming into this matchup too, how Mammoth can be quite explosive and want to have that aggression in the early game, but it's always the margins of 1%. It feels like they're either just missing out and it's turning poorly for them because of that 1%, or they're excelling and looking fantastic because of it. And unfortunately, like we said, they weren't able to do it. They weren't able to all come together and have that 1% to look good. So seeing what they change up for themselves, don't know side select just yet, but when we look at it, is it just go for that easier, go for team fight? You know you're able to play that out a lot better.
Yeah, to me, this is very similar to the game they played game 1 versus the Chiefs in their previous series, where they had the Kha'Zix LeBlanc sort of solo queue draft. When you look at all these champions individually, wait, this is a great Trundle pick because I'm against the Wukong 1v1 and there's an Ornn that I can ult for resistances, right? But then you look at the entire comp and it's terrible. So to me, I do want Mammoth to go towards that more easy team fight execution. Like, Alistar was hitting some nutty combos this game, but the only thing he had to follow up with wasn't a Phalios ulti, right? Yeah. Imagine there's like your own Nico, or you've got an Ornn Horn coming in over the top of that, really lay that CC and take advantage of what Yerson is so good at.
What is my question going into this next one, right? Because the Chiefs actually banning away the Rumble in the first rotation. You're assuming that Mammoth are going to probably opt for blue side. Does that mean you have to look at the Rumble and say, okay, what do we actually ban away? Do we ban away the Nico, or do we stick with that Rumble? Or do you let both go through, in which point you're saying, I dare you to have a double AP top side and sort of work around that? So I'm quite curious to see their response.
And do you not feel weird, like, banning Sejuani from Kevi in the first place? Like, you go through that ban phase, and you're like, let's get rid of the champion that we should probably pick for Sully to go with this Renekton lane, and instead we ban that from the carry player on the other side of the map. Like, I think there is easy adaptations for Mammoth to be made. Personally, if I was Mammoth's coach, that would have been a Jinx Leona bottom lane, I think. And then you can still play the LeBlanc, because you're prioritizing LeBlanc in the picks, and some kind of damage jungle, like maybe the Kha'Zix, and you just Jinx ult cross map, right? You always have an influence. The Leona can roam, and you also have range to stay strong in that laning phase. So maybe that's what I would have looked at.
Yeah, what is going on? Why aren't we seeing Jinx Kai'Sa? Like, banned or pick?
I mean, Jinx is kind of weird on this patch, right? There's just a bunch of AD carries that either outrange her in terms of being able to poke her, and her laning phase as well was suffered a little bit just because of the nerfs that she's received. Kai'Sa was a strange one to me. I was almost wondering if, you know, they were going to be happy taking the Nico and then slamming like a Kai'Sa Jace or something. Not going to be the case, right? So does Mammoth just not play this poke comp now, which is a very big giveaway to me, especially in game 1 in the series, that you're giving away these 2 S-tier champions who have been running the meta for so long.
We can see side select now. It is going to come up so we can have a deeper discussion on it. Yeah, you alluded to it, Skimmy. You thought that they might go this in Mammoth. They do really want blue side for themselves.
Yeah, well, to Max's point, they've never played the Kaiser Jace. I mean, Dajing's never played the Jace. So I'm curious to see, you know, given that it's been such a prolific style that other teams have opted for, which has given them wins. You've seen, obviously, Bliss do it. Direwolves did it as well, and it just looked easy to execute, right? If the early game's going your way, then the mid game comes around. It's a freebie at that point, right? Where objectives are just so hard to have the opposition started off because you have all the scouting pressure to reclaim it. Credit where credit is due to Sully, comes in, steals where the Baron buys. Sometimes you think, hang on a minute, is the upset about to happen? But I think, yeah, once again, it just goes back to the fact that in the past they've said, you know, you can have the Nico, we'll trade and go for LB and Kaiser. In this occasion said, you know what, Aphelios instead, and then, as you say, really made it so your son could find the most insane engages, but they had nothing to back it up with.
Do you think they might try to go back for the Tristana? It was something they tried in game 2 against Chiefs, and if that is on the cards, do you want it to be taken off the table, Max?
If they can first pick it, absolutely, right? The Chiefs we know have very consistent bans. I'd be willing to bet that they almost ban the exact same 3 champions in this round as well, right? Even on the red side. So I think that does open up a window. That being said, though, Chiefs are a team that will play Kaiser Jace, right? They will play that poke comp, and then that raises the question of, okay, are we happy actually playing a potential double 80 carry comp into a poke comp, which we've seen being quite hard to execute multiple times?
Yeah, I mean, because they also in his interview yesterday said that he thought he is the best Jace in the league. That's what he said. That was the word. So he probably is just biding his time, trying to pull it out yet again. There are also no subs, so it is going to be Kevy yet again for Chiefs staying in there. Not too much more of a discussion can be had around it. It's just a bit of a waiting game, and to fill in a bit of time, we got our from the fans. We asked you guys what your ranked goals, some aspirations that you guys might have now that ranked has reset. We got this one. It says, my goal is to have fun and make friends along the way. Aww,
You're in the wrong industry for that.
Advice to you, Tomlin.
No way. That, I believe, can happen.
I love those goals. I don't know if those are ranked goals. Those are tough ranked. Like, in terms of the standard that you have now set for yourself with those ranked goals, that's tough. I wish you all of the luck with that.
I will say, it is possible. I have made one friend. It was in a different game, in ranked. We added each other on Steam, and every now and then we actually still play with each other.
It's not even solo queue. You don't even have a good experience playing solo queue. No one does have a good experience playing solo queue.
I was solo queue, and I made friends with a random in the game.
Yeah, but was it League of Legends?
No, I said it was a different one.
Exactly.
But I'm saying it can happen. I'm saying it can happen.
Not in League.
It can potentially happen. All right, it's now my mission. It's now my mission too to make friends in solo queue. I will prove you wrong, Max. We got another one higher than D4 in less than 500 games.
Thoughts?
It ain't happening, little bro. This one ain't happening.
Hey, little bro, I'm sorry.
He's been playing a lot of 2v2v2v2 though, and I know that that's been quite popular.
That's only been out for 12 hours.
He's been playing for 12 hours.
Damn, he's already got 500 games in another mode.
But D4 is like, that's the goal, and I think that once you hit D4, you're kind of like, damn, I'm actually good at this, you know? I think Plat's kind of getting there, but once you're Diamond, you're like, I'm actually good.
What
Whether
about
you actually
Emerald,
are is...
the new rank?
Yeah, I actually don't know. That's below Plat?
Is it between Plat and Diamonds?
Yeah, I think it's between.
Really?
I think it's between Plat and Diamond.
That makes Diamond even cooler then.
So now Emerald's a good goal. Diamond is now even better.
Yep,
so
Diamond's even better.
The one above.
Yeah,
Diamond
it's cool.
may be worth it.
We do have another aspiration here from another fan. I'm going to pull it up. Oh, it's a big screen one. I hit it, but Masters next? Question mark, exclamation mark.
I will say the climb from Diamond 4 to Masters is the least enjoyable solo queue experience you will ever have, and it's not even close because everyone has an ego. Everyone's playing decay games because no one wants to decay from D4.
Okay, that's true.
And it is just horrible, right? If you get boosted, you're going to get boosted to D4 if it's any elo. So it's just terrible. Good luck,
It feels like the point you mentioned before where it's like you start to feel like you're kind of good at the game, but then the ego comes into play.
Exactly.
And you're like, I know better than you, and then people, that's not what you're
But actually, you're all still really bad at the game.
You're absolutely awful because then the Grandmaster or Challenger comes in and is like, piss.
If there was one thing I would say to DJ for that climb, it's be prepared to have weird matches where like suddenly there is a 600 LP challenger on the other team and you're like D4 about to start that climb. You just have to accept that reality sometimes and don't duo, otherwise they're more likely on the enemy team than yours.
Also, some of the games you had when you're doing your placements, and you just have like Lemus and stuff in your
Game
games.
one of my placements without a rank had Lemus and like 2 other high ranked players in it. And I was like, bro, I'm not even platinum. I'm not even rated. Yeah, that's where the anxiety came from.
Yeah, you're like, all right, anyway, time to pack up the rank, put it away on the shelf, and never touch it again.
We did win that game, though. Lemus said Benvy's job was in danger after that one.
I got something for you, Rusty, all right? No worries. To help you maybe warm up for the rank, to help you get over the ranked anxiety, you could join our community games night. It's happening next Friday, so in 1 week's time on July 28th, we're doing a finals fever themed community night. !Discord to sign up, find out some more information, and get amongst it. Maybe 2v2s.
I'm
maybe some
I'm gonna be showing up for this one.
Oh, you
I
promise?
reckon.
Bet?
Yeah.
Actually
bet.
bettable.
Bet.
That's
Is get
exciting.
I
amongst
missed
it an
last one.
Australian
You
phrase?
did.
Bet?
No, is get amongst it an
Get amongst.
Australian
I feel like
specific
it
thing?
is.
Yeah.
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 Get amongst
I
it.
don't know.
Get
And-
that
and
in,
it
yeah.
is a thing.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah,
That's super
it is a
insightful.
thing.
It is a thing. We'll Google, we'll see if it's an Australian thing, because we do have a break. We have time right now
Get
to have a
among
look
us.
at it. When we come back on the other side, it's Chiefs versus Mammoth Game 2.
Mammoth with the pincers in place with the Ornhorns out.
Drake resets, jumps across the wall. Here's Kevin, knocks him up once, takes him down twice. Chain is dead. He can't even hit the flash. He's gone. The pop lost him, knocking up two. Sully in trouble. No jungler. No chance for this Drake to be there. Raze goes golden as his team protects. He peels away, receives the shield, and comes in with the...
First things first. The battle station. Escape, delete. I hate this setup. This just isn't me. Ugh. Now this is me.
It's only common sense. Pay respect to the girls in the limelight. In the limelight. To the girls in the limelight. Pay your respect to the girls in the limelight. Ice on my wrist, yeah, I'm colder than the Arctic. Name on the list, I be rocking on my star shit. You know my name, got the fame, cause I earned it. I know the game, I ain't never been a side chick. We ain't nothing like you seen before. We the type to leave you wanting more. Try to stop us, but you can't ignore. Oh, lady so fly, like you're walking in a gold mine. Looking so fine, you can watch it on your timeline. We got the confidence, it's only common sense. Pay respect to the girls in the limelight. In the limelight. To the girls in the limelight. Pay your respect to the girls in the limelight. In the limelight. To the girls in the limelight. Pay your respect to the girls in the limelight.
Everybody wanna know how I got here. I had a powerful vision. All the haters tryna stop our mission. Oh, but we won't stop kicking. You better listen up. Downtown with my crew, all eyes on us, hands off, cause you know we're unstoppable. Downtown with my crew, time ticking on the clock, hands off, cause you know we better blow. Heads up, we're gonna rule the world. We're the kings of these streets, if you couldn't tell. Listen up, cause if the truth be told, we're the number one here, yeah, we're winning the gold. Heads up, we're untouchable. Take a shot towards us, but you slip and fall. The thing about us is...
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kiffy's not able. Ends up Pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Chiefs still getting game number 1 here. It is a best of 5, so game number 2 doesn't have as much weight as it might in a best of 3, but it's still important for Mammoth. This is a mental hurdle now. It's about proving a point that you can beat Chiefs. We got our Dare fan vote. If you guys have that faith in Mammoth to be able to bring it back in game 2, to be able to prove it and stick it to the man that is Chiefs, up there in that top right-hand corner is where you want to use your channel points. And maybe you could get a big fat stack in return, depending on how many other people also believe in Mammoth. You? Would you? Is that what
Do
your
I
channel
believe in
points would be?
Mammoth?
Yeah.
Well, I predicted 3-0 Chiefs, so no.
I surely one game.
I predicted 3-0.
His prediction and the points of his prediction matter more than anything else.
Very clearly, yeah. It's hard to believe in Mammoth after that game. Because, yes, because I think that...
I think I hit a whole other octave there.
That sounded like a
mentally
bit of a
note.
skit going on there for a second.
And I don't need to justify why.
No, you don't. Instead, we can just see with our eyes because Champ selects ready.
And it is. Game number 2 then. Let's see what happens when Mammoth switch it around onto the blue side. And will those bans change is the question. Actually, Nico being banned by Mammoth themselves, despite having the first pick priority. Will anything change for the Chiefs, however, having locked in what was the Poppy, Rel, and Rumble bans?
So the Zarya ban to me is an important one. I think that's something that Mammoth don't really have a lot of emphasis on needing to play themselves. Chaeyoung does seem to, as you may have noted from this series already, have a preference to the Aphelios side of that coin anyway. Nico, yeah, look, I know Dajang, we've seen him play it. We know it's possible, but I think he also has a preference to the LeBlanc side of that coin. So that might be the direction we're choosing to go here. But note throughout all of this as well, Chiefs now have the decision of Tristana. Is this a champion they want to get rid of? Mammoth, that's weird.
Wow.
I don't know where they want to go.
So, if it's not to be LB getting banned away, you're assuming it's going to be the first pick from Mammoth, then surely it's just Chiefs picking up Jace, Sedge, Jace, Maokai, anything of the likes, and thinking, you can have your LB, but we've got this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, depending on where the Chiefs go with this third ban, they are actually going to get rid of the Kai'Sa, something that was not picked or banned by Mammoth, but it does match the Tristana, I suppose, for the red side, once you've seen that blue side ban. Zarya, Trist, Kai'Sa gone. Is it an Aphelios first pick? Is that something that they really want to put their emphasis towards when LeBlanc is up? We said that that's Dajang's preference. Ivan's up.
Rel's up too.
Rel's up. That was banned by Chiefs, that's true. And I guess this just invites the Rel response. I mean, you know full well that... Okay, so if I'm Chiefs, I go Rel, and I pick my AD carry or my jungler.
You wouldn't go Jace?
You could go Jace. You could go Jace. You go Rel and then an important champion. And if Mammoth respond with Alistar, it's a Sylas. That's why I don't necessarily want the Jace.
Sure, I'm with you.
But you're not going to do that.
But no.
You're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that.
Annie.
We're going to run it back to
Annie.
week 3 of the regular split and say this is what we beat you originally with. It was the Annie Viego. It caused a whole bunch of headaches for you. So we can go through a few more patches and let's just get the same outcome again.
Why not, hey? Let's just do what has worked for us so well in the past. We will continue on this path. So Rel and Ivan just locked in by Mammoth. And look, I'm going to put it to you simply, Skimmy. These are champions we said are important. Mammoth have 3 insane champions picked together in their first 3.
They certainly do. They've got their own version of Exodia on the blue side now, which does bring into question what do Chiefs have as a response to try and spice things up and try and even out the balance. Alistar would be a great option. Certainly to make sure the Rel cannot get too carried away, because we know that your son at the flip of a trigger will just go straight into your face and almost act like a Nico, locking everybody down.
I like this from the Chiefs as a response with the Alistar. The Nila is a funny ban, for sure.
Unless they're thinking of a cannon again.
Yeah. So I don't like... I like the Nila into the cannon because it's almost like a bait pick, right? People forget that you can just AoE magic resistance your team. You can just build exhaust on the support and you'll be fine. Alistar also can expunge that cleanse and headbutt the cannon away. So they already have really good answers into that one. It seems like more importantly, they're just getting rid of aggressive AD carries, right? They're getting rid of the potential issue that could take place in this bottom lane to snowball the game out of control, because the Ivan will have to play towards the Brel if they want to make plays on the map together. So they're just trying to perhaps remove some volatility. Not that Mammoth aren't trying to do that themselves, to be perfectly honest with you. Not a lot of AD carries standing.
No, a whole bunch of them have been removed from the table. Ash up and available, Kog'Maw, Twitch. We've seen murmurs of potentially Kalista as well. Ray's going to be cycling for those champions, deciding what is the best matchup to go for. It won't be Emilio to back me up this time for the extended range and the free safe cleanse. But the engage is too good to pass up on.
Yeah, I think Ash just probably the best one standing of all of those champions that have been banned. Looks so good on it as well, Ray. He's had an insane performance. Last time we saw him play this one wasn't with Emilio, but it was also against Mammoth, so stands to reason that he's going to be rent-free as the Aphelios and Renekton get locked in here. by Mammoth. And again, look at their draft, man. Like, just individual champion strength through the roof. Renekton's seen in every single game right now. Aphelios stands strong in his own right. Aphelios Rel has high kill threat. Ivan, who is up there with one of the best junglers right now, running around in the meta. And LeBlanc, of course, that same conversation to be had, one of the best running around at the moment to do it. But their opponents have a lot of kill threat. They have an insane snowball as well. And it's a little bit more pick-oriented, but that Ornn just brings it all together.
And I just feel for me as if Mammoth are running back the exact same comp. Yes, you've changed the moving parts. Trundle becomes the Ivan, Alistar becomes the Rel, but it's the core crux once again of just looking for those one-man isolated picks to get the ball rolling. As for Chiefs, though, it's about making sure that if you do compromise their positioning, we will have the ability to stun lock you down, take you out of the picture, and get Kevy on this Viego ahead.
Yeah, the thing I really like about the Chiefs comp, you just highlighted Viego getting those resets and getting ahead, but they have a lot of non-committal engage. Mammoth have got the Ivan Q they could throw out, and LeBlanc can kind of harass and look for those chains. Aphelios can ult, but like those are pretty big spells. Renekton is committed at single target. LeBlanc is committed at single target. When a Rel goes in, the whole world knows because it's do or die a lot of the time. The Chiefs don't really have that same concern. They can Ornhorn, they can Asher if it hits. Annie Tibbers follows through and it's kills.
Yeah.
So to me, that maybe is the biggest point of difference. But if either team really starts a snowball in this particular draft, I feel like they can run away with it pretty easily. You don't want to let the LeBlanc get ahead in a game like this.
Are you curious by the fact that they went for the Ashe when they've run a very similar comp like this before with the Annie Viego and actually opted for the Aphelios, which they've handed across the chain again?
I don't think it makes too much of a difference. I just think right now Ashe is sitting in a really good spot with the items that are being purchased by ADCs. You know, Kraken Slayer, Trinity Force lets you just chase down and do things by yourself. I think it doesn't fill the same role as a Xayah, right? Like, you still are at risk of dying, but like a Flash Ghost or a Flash Cleanse, and suddenly they can't lock you down, and you just kite them out, because it's a close range composition. You are going to be auto-attacking.
Yeah. Either way, though, the adaptations have been made from either side. We flip the sides around, and will this flip the script in favor of Mammoth? They're down 1-0 in this best of 5. The decider, the final best of 5, to book your ticket all the way over to join Bliss in the PCS.
We said the last game was important for Mammoth and for Chiefs alike, right? Find that momentum back if you're the Chiefs. You just lost a series 3-0 against Team Bliss, who are our first PCS representatives here, and waiting for the winners of this best of in the LCO finals next week. For Mammoth, you really wanted to see that first game go their way to stem that momentum, to continue their Gauntlet momentum as well, because they're making the lower bracket run. Like, Mammoth were doing it, but now they've been halted. And so this, to me, is the real first game in this series. Chiefs coming in as strong as they always have been. Mammoth come back, I think, of course, corrected a lot of the draft woes. Just individual champion strength has gone up, even though the comp identity is similar. And if they start strong in this game, then I think we really do have a series on our hands.
Well, there was clearly some improvements in that first game. More objectives, a longer game as a whole, and more clear identity as to what they're looking to try and get accomplished. And with those draft woes that you highlight, let's see if it does give them that start they're really hoping to achieve. The Ivan obviously so strong. Last time we saw Sully play this, it was all about Tien commanding so much respect that he got free passage to go as he pleased and make as many friends in the jungle as possible. But the Annie's been brought back. And let's see what Kisei and Kevin can get accomplished.
And super fun and interactive matchup at level 1 as Kisei and Darjung just auto-attack minions, and then if they try and interact with each other, Annie puts up the Molten Shield and the trades are dead even every single time. Truly an experience for mid laners to behold.
No sarcasm in that, surely
No,
not.
of course not. Yasun hitting level 2, just gets headbutted away by Alidoric down in this bottom lane. Mid gets volatile around 6, right? Annie is one of those champions, especially when you see the first strike Annie's running around. We'll just drop Tibbers on Darjung to make sure he's half health, just to keep him busy, right? Don't let him roam around the map, just put some damage down. Speaking of roaming around the map though, Kevy, early looking.
They're going to try and make their very first play. One camp clear, level 3 active. Viego hunting for that first blood, going to bide his time, but the vision's already down, so they're fully aware of this play. They're going to instantly showcase that as they back away, back beneath their turret. Good spotting from Mammoth. As for Tien, he's back to those proxying ways again.
What a classic Renekton gamer. We're seeing this from so many different players right now in the LCO. They just don't want to interact with each other in top lane anymore. Junglers both on the bottom side of the map. They know it's isolated. They know it's one-on-one. Yersan flashes.
He certainly has flashed. He's isolated the target he's after. Aladoric is the one they want. The flash away denies the jump in that Sully was hoping to find. As Kevy shows face, they will decide to back away.
Dajang looks at Kevy here as well. If the chains connect, it was possible that Sully would follow through, but they get dashed away from. Damage applied, so Sully not going to get the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, Aladoric is here. He goes in for the two-man knock-up across the wall. Goes Raze. Flashing to commit to this one. They want that first blood, and that's what they'll get. Can Mammoth trade back? Not for the meantime. The Molten Shield is fantastic. Yorson's the next one to fall on down. It's both Raze as well as Kisei that get the kills, and we're only 4 minutes in.
And it starts off with a 2-0 trade very nicely in favor of the Chiefs. So first fight of the game for a Scuttle Crab. They spot the Ivan. They know what's going to happen. They've seen the LeBlanc use her cooldowns as well to try and stop Kevy from being in the area. The second they get that damage application down, they're able to chase through. Dajang here first, very clearly. But Kisei just bodies him out to go forwards, and Aladoric, the star of the show, the flash from Sully. Perhaps expecting that the headbutt pulverizer was going to go into just him. It was actually on all three of them. Is mid lane Kisei.
Back to live we go, and Kisei being the recipient of the kills, gets those buffs transferred one more time from jungle to mid to the opposite mid. Back in the hands of Mammoth again.
It's so important for Mammoth to be able to get that one as well, right? Looking at opportunities here, Kevy still level 3, hasn't been able to farm a camp just yet. Finds that Sully's already taken away those chicken. And Kisei dying there, just giving money back into the hands that needed it desperately. They're 600 gold down, 4 minutes in. And that's after the kill, end of the camp that they just stole away.
May just make that lane a little bit more interactive now, as level 6 isn't too far away for those two solo laners, and a LeBlanc with double buffs is going to be an absolute menace. How does it all start off in the very first place? Because it just looks to be off vision.
Sully looking fast right now, got his Way of Wades on. Straight back off a reset, he's just able to find it, but really it was Dajang that did all of that in the first place, right? Sully comes through to confirm what was set up very nicely by the LeBlanc here. Very well done by Dajang.
Certainly was. Very first Dragon now being looked at, and right on cue, it's going to be Chiefs really making sure they put the objective on a bit of a timer here. Ocean Dragon becomes theirs.
And Ivan's annoying, Skimmy. Ivan's annoying because all he does is prep camps. In your head, you have the mental timer of like, has the enemy jungler gone for the 2 camps into gank when he flips map? Or is he just straight ganking? You never expect him to be able to do both. Ivan can do that. Such a frustrating champion to play against sometimes. Also, the way he struts when he's fed is very annoying. So this guy's got too much swag in a very aloof
Yeah,
way.
I knew you were going to say that. My man's in the club just taunting me.
Just Conor McGregor walking the lane.
Absolutely. And flashbacks to my model catwalk last night.
Night Terror's inbound, mate.
He's bot lane the focus once more. As this 2v2 is looking a little bit too quiet so
Look
far.
at that strut. Look at them long legs.
He means business, doesn't
Model
he?
walk.
Comes in, plants a bush, saves the planet, deletes a ward.
There's no one that walks like that. Also, how does a tree have joints?
You're asking too many questions right now. There's just no answers.
My bad. I'll stop.
We're living in a fantasy.
Is that right? It's giving.
Yeah, it's all simulation.
I thought this was real.
This is not real.
It's all a simulation.
We're all here just to make friends. Didn't you see from the fans?
Yes, we are just here to make friends. Chiefs and Mammoth definitely making friends with one another in this BO5 as well. And a little bit of a quiet lull in this one, suffice to say. I think as well, when these fights start to come about, right, we're looking at level 6 from Raze is a pretty important point. Fire Panther, if the fights are on his side of the map, a pretty important point. Herald's going to be up in 20 seconds, definitely where our focus goes towards. For now, it's top lane.
And now it certainly is top lane, as Biopepper looked like he had the better half of that trade, but then Tien gets a moment to strike back and even it out. Both junglers in the area. At which point the fight is already done. Timber's getting summoned in mid lane too, as Kisei takes a massive HP chunk out of LeBlanc. Cashes in on a whole bunch of gold at the same time.
Yeah, Dajong does have teleport, so that is kind of just the transaction of this lane. The annoying Annie tax, right, is that she's just going to find a spot that tibbers you. You're going to lose most of your health. Doesn't have the Merc treads right now. That is something that does hurt Dajong a little bit. And also doesn't teleport back, has stuck around. So this Herald, a lot of missing health.
Tibbers versus Annie. Who wins? Full of the Forge God goes out, finds its target. The arrow from all the way in bot lane doesn't connect. It's enough of a zoning missile that the Herald will be secured for the Chiefs. 2 from 2 so far on both major objectives.
Daisy just on a little mission there, it feels like. Was seeing if they could find any targets. The interesting thing here for me is I don't see any reason why Tan needed to walk that way or even waste that ultimate in the end. If Dajong hadn't gone back to base with intent to teleport in, with intent to contest, but Yersun shows up, it feels like they were indecisive. You know, like they didn't actually make an executive call on what they wanted to get done there. They're in pretty good stead now, right? The static shift completed, starting to get some of those items back and forth between them. But just a couple of extra little details given over to the Chiefs, right? Maybe it's a summoner spell, maybe it's an ultimate, but that could also be a wave of priority and a chance that you can't give a team like the Chiefs.
Certainly cannot. They'll punish if they get given a chance to strike back. Daisy times out, but Sui continues to be aggressive as he tries to prep and steal away the enemy blue buff. Does that so successfully as Kevy rocks around and realizes that's now been denied. Guess they're going to be quite upset at that one. As he has to try and play into this matchup of that static shift with the Leandries acquired. Wants that big shred, wants that burn. Not looking for the rocket boat explosive flash in play.
Certainly has a lot of health builders on the enemy team to burn down as well. We'll be doing a whole lot of DPS. Is the solo AP on the team, so in theory, right, could perhaps be a Ludens or a burst like a Proto Belt. He just wants to have that raw burn DPS that comes from the shield, comes from the Tibber's consistent DPS output. So no contest in the end from the Herald. No contest on a Drake so far here from Mammoth either, but all things considered, the game does remain mostly even in gold everywhere. For me, one of the big breakpoints is Annie's not notoriously great at clearing waves. And so Dajong being able to finish that static shift turns this into a bit more of a one-sided affair as laning is concerned. Kisei will spend a whole lot of his time from here on out stuck under the turret dealing with what a LeBlanc has prepared prior. But as the Herald gets summoned and the Drake gets looked at, that wave clear not going to mean anything just yet.
Certainly isn't. More gold into the pocket that Chiefs are after. Keeps Dajong occupied in the mid lane for the meantime as the second dragon is looked at. And Sully's in the area wondering, do I make a flash play for this or do I not? I'll send in Daisy first of all, force Aladoric to knock that one away. Second Drake confirmed as easily as you like it. As they return back to lanes. An Infernal Dragon at that as well. I mean, we've got the Souls of Dreams in this series so far.
Yeah, the Infernal Soul looking nasty as well. Both these teams will be happy with that one. The consistent poke that comes out of the Ashe and the LeBlanc would be certainly nice to have an Infernal Soul with. Bonus damage on top of a Tibbers combo. Same conversation. Ash Arrow does connect.
Ash Arrow's gone out and instantly Aladoric pounces upon that. Headbutt pulverize, stun him down, take him out and give Kevy the reset. But the shield is buying so much time that the reset never comes through. Sully swagger steps out. And Mammoth answer back.
That is crazy here from the side of Mammoth. The reinforcements came in with no hesitation. Tian holds the fort down with a timely teleport, but it's the second cooldowns that cycle through from Sully that keeps him alive. The fact that he gets that shield back up essentially saves him. And it makes you wonder, did the Chiefs undercommit to the play? You know, Raze didn't really move over to auto-attack. Dajong gets cancelled.
Look at the spacing on Tibbers there. Beautiful micro. Full serious, of course.
We watch this back again. Ash Arrow connects. Raze is the person that I'm watching in this situation to see what he's able to provide. He sees the teleport and freaks out, knows the reinforcements are there on the flank. So Raze in this awkward predicament, that teleport zoning his DPS away, denies the resets, and then the shield coming through again from Sully, able to actually save him through that damage. Simply it was Sully asking for help, and that help arrived in a timely manner.
Asked and received, and was able to get out and receive, really, what they were after in effect of Tien coming in, saying the Renekton needs to get work accomplished early. It certainly does just that. You saw Biopemp as a result continue to push in the top lane. And I'm curious as to the Ornn priority actually in this matchup, because it's almost like a conscious decision that we don't need to just scrap at every single given moment. We can almost respect that, hey, if this game does go to distance, if you do give us that big test, if we are playing a little bit slower, given how last night went for us, we've always got that backup of the ornaments.
I mean, certainly is true. I mean, at the moment, just for everyone's information, there was just a player that disconnected, so we'll get that one sorted and back in as soon as possible. The classic Oceanic tax must be paid in all BO5s. But to your point, I think the reality is Chiefs have looked at this game and said, we're not really pressured to do anything crazy. I think the truth for them is that if they just play stable League of Legends, pick their tank, scale into top lane, you don't have to play the Cassante versus Renekton. You don't have to be volatile. You don't have to do anything different yet, right? You're not pushed to that decision. Tien loves it. Loves to fight in top lane. Loves the volatile game state. And Biopanther is just outright denying it. Saying, I'm just going to play tanks. And actually, you are going to be bored in this lane.
Because I did find it an interesting consideration, because we've seen a Cassante hovered. But yeah, just the sort of identification that, like, I'm not going to go for the Gragas or the Jax or, you know, try and fight fire with fire. I'm just going to full shoot to get bored of this lane, proxy the wave, TP elsewhere, try to really influence the map. Whereas I'm just chilling. I'm scaling up, I'm farming up. I've got something for my team. I've got the presence for my team to really cash in on as the game goes by. I'm curious to see really what can change in this one, because you'd argue this is probably the best draft that Mammoth will get on the blue side with all the patch changes from game 1 to 2.
100%. I mean, they just have strong champions, right? Just their independent champions are so strong. The way the comp plays out is still a little bit odd. You know, Renekton, LeBlanc, solid damage options. Ivan just going to be supportive for the team. It still, to me, comes down to this conversation on, like, Aphelios is going to have to carry. You know, we still look at Mammoth and say Chaeyon has to be a beast in this game, and still has had a very muted game and series up until this point, as we are back into the game. Darjung's still the hero of the show, but if top's being kept even, it really is about mid and ADC and what they can provide. So Ivan has to support someone, Skimmy, otherwise there's no reason to pick it.
Absolutely. Pressure on, as you say. So let's see then where the pressure will really amount to. This is looking like a cheeky lane flip takes place one more time. Last time around the Herald, this time just based on timings to see what they could find, really force Mammoth to respond at any given moment. And I suppose to Darjung's interview say, well, we want to try and play our game, but someone's like Chiefs are denying that.
Yeah, they've actually just started to push the map flips in. They could easily go back towards the top lane again, given that the Herald is up in 1 minute. They could reset those waves, come back towards mid lane if they would like. Instead, that's where Mammoth are going to position themselves. Seems at the moment, again, Mammoth's comp having double teleports on their solo laners, both being capable split push champions. The 1-3-1 is going to be their default posturing, but they will have to play towards their side lanes. As they're using the Shirelias, they're looking for Kisei.
Looking to boost in, looking to try and take down Kisei. He's got the flash, or flash out of the Magnet Storm. It's a little bit too easy for them. And the arrow just barely misses. But this one will. The headbutt, the connect, and the damage to take down Yoursun. He's been punished. In goes Aladoric, one-man pulverize. Aphelios is the present, the one they need to protect, but the one that Chiefs are hungry to take on down. Double kill found here by Kevi as he becomes the Ivan. Turns into a tree. And actually looks to try and find a little bit more as he keeps Darjung at bay.
Yeah, he's hunting for the third. You can see him channeling that stun as well. They will be dissuaded from any further dives. Aladoric still hunting those, seeing if he can stop those recalls. Herald will be free. They will be able to lock themselves down that objective. Mammoth take a fight with no teleport to assist. Mammoth choose to take a play where a simple flash from Kisei has once again just ruined them, clears the wave. That's the most important thing here. Flashes out from the stun combos. They don't layer their crowd control. They don't actually even hit follow-up crowd control after the Magnet Storm connects and Biopanther teleports in. There is no teleport from the Blanc, but gets here as fast as he possibly can. There is no teleport from this Renekton, who is just pushing mid lane instead. And they end up just not having the numbers advantage. And their tower comes in as a sixth man for the Chiefs. And Mammoth just fall on their own sword.
They certainly do. The most valuable flash Kisei's probably burnt in this series so far. They're just easy to walk out of that one. And to watch all the skill shots Mammoth chuck out, just hit absolute thin air. Looking for more though. Kevy's now the focus, and this Magnet Storm will find its just desserts as he jumps across the wall, the blast cone. But Yosun's baited himself. He's going to fall down for it. He took the journey with him.
Ash arrow.
And the Ash arrow this time lands onto Sully's head. But with nobody being there for the meantime, he is still forced to flash away too.
He actually got saved by Daisy. So just at the top of your screen, what you may not have noticed was a triple knockup from Daisy's third auto attack that stopped them from covering the distance to where the Ash arrow had found Sully's face. Gets him out just in time. Flash did have to be used, of course, but does just barely scrape through. Herald to be summoned, however, means they'll break the mid lane turret. Teleport's coming through.
TP, TN on the flank, Dominus active. Who's he going to look to try and take down now? Kevy separated, in jumps Eladora to try and play peel and protect. And stunned up for the meantime, but an ultimate negating all of that hard lockdown means that Eladora can just walk away. The stun connects. But still, he's soaking up the world right now. Quarter of the Forge World comes on through, hits nobody. But it's Chiefs answering back. The two carries are so topped up and healthy. Dodging across the wall, waiting for his moment. Tien jumps in, can't get Kisei. He's still limping alive. Jumps in with the distortion, takes him down, but the kills are still going the way of Chiefs so far. Inside the brush, summoned buddy Ivan. You're not going to find any way to run away. And an ace that's 16 minutes in as that's Dragon number 3.
Ray's fighting for his absolute life there. Flashes aggressively, they go forwards. Chiefs, I cannot believe the fight went as well for them as it ends up. TN teleports in, looks for the flank. They look at Kevy. That's their initial target. They can't get him because Aladoric bodies them out, uses the ultimate, and just buys enough time. Annie and LeBlanc stopping each other. The fact that Dajang has to go back to his distortion and was stunned means he's really far away from this one, and they're able to cycle some more spells through. The Ornhorn connects, and Raze at this point just tries to attack the closest target at all times. Cheon plants himself in their face and just cops an Annie combo and dies. Raze flashes forwards, doesn't know which LeBlanc is real, to be honest with you. It's hard to tell because there was an Ivan bush in there as well. But the closest target's all you need when you're this fed as the Ash.
And he's always auto-attack spacing, and the uptime proving to be just enough here as he finds himself with a bounty now. So far ahead here of the Aphelios. Working his way towards that Trinity Force.
The thing is, it's only 2,000 gold, but it is 3 Drakes. It is control of the map. You're seeing Mammoth try and force these plays, and honestly, most of the forces have not been it. Yerstan twice in a row now has gone for these engages and either didn't have the correct follow-up from his team or missed a stun in there in the first place. And the Mammoth just start to crumble. Try as they might, it seems like Chiefs can just play these counter-engage or engage comps and just catch the throws when Mammoth do throw them out. And Kevy with this reset champion on a Viego is certainly getting those resets when that first person throwing themselves in is dying so willingly.
So it does feel, whilst Chiefs do have the ability to certainly be aggressive and fight the fight on their own terms, they are very much respecting the fact that Mammoth are hunting for the angles, looking for the flanks, searching for the initiation. Making an absolute field day for a Annie and Viego to pounce back on it. Let's then check in with the overall gold and see where that wealth is distributed at this given time. Kisei at the top of the table, as he just completes himself a Rabadon's Death Cap straight from the fountain, back into the action, feeling very strong. Not too far behind him though is Tien. Same story really as game 1. It was the Crocodile doing so much work in these first 20 minutes. But now you're getting a little bit scared as level 13 comes online and those ornaments start to become an issue.
That's it. Biopanther's been able to keep up this time. He's not down 40 CS. He's still farming really nicely in this game. They're going to use the distortion forwards, look to try and break that outer turret, but it will stand. And Cheon towards the bottom of the list in that total goal really was the standout feature for me, is so far behind. That hurts them. Again, said this a lot earlier, but you've got the Ivan comp, someone has to deal damage for it. Well, right now it's Tien. You're going to have to Ivan protect the Renekton and the LeBlanc and just pray that Cheon gets his job done in the back there, as he fights for his life with a lot of kill threats staring him down.
We mentioned it before in the pre-show, just how influential both AD carries can be, but just when up against each other, it's a very different story. 5 kills in 4 games for Cheon as opposed to Raze with 43. I mean, it just speaks volumes to the difference when they go toe-to-toe. The support optimization now picked up here by Stud. He's actually gone for the Crucible, just wants to make sure that a second cleanse is afforded here. So Cheon can go Superman and go crazy with it.
Mikhail's Crucible also has one of the highest heal and shield percentage bonuses that an item provides from all the support traits, up there with Redemption, I believe, at like 20%, where a lot of the others are 10%.
That's right, yep.
Quite an efficient item, especially into the Ashe, the Annie, that are looking for those stuns to initiate plays. I like this item purchase a lot from Sully. You know I'm a support main, I can give you numbers on that roll.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, it almost makes you look like you're a bit of a battle medic, doesn't it? Because you're just boosting around with Australia saying, here, have a shield, mate. Here, have a heal. Get back in the front line, keep fighting.
Oh, you got that stun, pop a bandage on. Haven't seen an AP Ivan yet, have we?
No.
Yeah, it was whispers of it running around, solo queue. You've got your Night Harvest, the slapping Daisy build, but it got nerfed and we never got a chance to see it competitive, which is a shame. Teleports though.
Teleports are coming on in and Yerson decides to jump on. He looks to try and take down Kevy. That's an ult and a flash and an ignite that will not take him down, but Dajong takes him in the end. So now Chiefs are fighting 4v5. They're forced to burn a flash to safety. And that means that Aladoric is then fully reliant on a Hex Flash to find the engage. And if Baron is there, would they look at it with 20 seconds still remaining for Kevy?
Certainly seems like they're moving straight towards that side of the map. There's a Drake up in 30 seconds. They want to take the advantage while they have the numbers. Ivan's shield does a lot for tanking for this Baron buff as well. But can they stop Kisei and Annie with Flash from getting across the wall and just littering them with damage?
Daljun looking for the flank. 5-10 for denying it for the meantime. The Baron has been stopped as down comes Tibbers. And out goes the Crystal Arrow. They've done enough. Kevy's respawned. The Baron is no more.
Oh, well, that certainly wasn't a massive Flash Tibbers by any means. Dajong needs to be careful.
One of the Forge God. How many targets does this one hit? Actually burns out a Flash. It only lands onto one. But that's a lot of ultimates burnt now by the start of Chiefs. Only from either side, rather.
Tian on a flank here, potentially. Kevy's back into the fray as well, so it is just going to be a 5-on-5 again. Tian already ulted. He's ready for this.
He's got Adonis active. Flash pounce, hit his target raised. Just jukes and flashing across the wall and saying, you won't kill me today. Try a little bit harder than that one. Kevy, he's having a field day. He finds two warm souls to soul swap with. Gets the reset. Gets the Drake. And comes back to be the hero. Dajong across the wall, trying to be tricky with it, trying to find somebody low enough to take on out the equation. But Hex Flash being buffered there by Aladoric hits the wall, gives himself a headache. Dajong across the wall, and Ivan steals it. Sully denies the soul point, and Chiefs will have to wait another 5 minutes.
Question remains, is Baron on the cards, right? It looks like the teleports are going to come through on Vision, so keep in mind Dajong might stop them, might actually go for kills there. At the very least, they're in danger. There's a red buff. They will be able to walk away. No summoners left on Raze. And I'm telling you, with the way that that fight started from Mammoth, if that was any other champion than a Renekton, any other top lane champion in the game, that could have been a different fight for Mammoth. The 10 flashes forward, stuns a single target, the one person on that whole team that has a cleanse, and just dies. And what could have been does not matter anymore. Because this is a nasty flank, has the Dominus, is active, is ready to hit a core, a Q, Gore Drinker combo onto 5 people, flashed on a Raze who with quick reactions jumps over the wall, and now it's no longer a good flank.
Yes, the high ground.
Yeah, it just died in half a second. Viego gets double resets off, right? Kevy has the time of his life as they go towards the Drake. But again, Sully, by the skin of their teeth, they are relying on their jungler to just get these steals off, and you better believe he gets these steals off every single time. Kevy cannot win the smite fight, but Sully does throw his life away for the cause.
Baron being started here as well, as Yerson's already fallen on down, taken out here by Kevy as they look to continue their pressure on this Baron. Can Mammoth in a 4v5 look to try and make something happen? Dodging across the wall once again, playing around those kind of shift procs. That goes to Moonlight Vigil. Not enough damage for Chiefs to really be concerned right now. Tien on Vision with the Dominus active. They'll turn away from the Baron. They feel like their HP is getting a little bit too low right now. They need one kill before they commit any further.
Yeah, they really want to entertain the engage from Mammoth here, but at a certain point you're losing too much HP, and because Raze has no cleanse or flash, he is at risk of dying to Tien on that croc. They will respect it. They'll end up just taking the kill and being happy about that one. Dajong clearing top lane, spots Kisei. Mammoth will go for the Baron, but that recall was cancelled, so they're going to cancel the Baron themselves. Delicate little back and forth here between these teams.
It certainly is. A lot of different micro decisions as to who can make the better one in the given heat of the moment.
Well, they know where you are now.
Kisse the focus. Kisse could be in trouble. Drops the Tibbers. Jumps away. Starship being an absolute menace. Two-man knock of his Eladoric jumps into the fight. The call of the Forge God locks Tien down in that corridor. Kenny with a reset. Says it's game on now as he spots that a lonely Cheon running away from the rest of his team. But they're unable to find much more than that. And this Baron really has been at the forefront of it all.
And are we relying on another Sully steal? That is the question. He has no flash, so to get into the pit in the first place is tough. Cheon, no Moonlight Vigil, no assistance can be provided. It would require a legitimate miracle this time. So the Baron goes. This feels like 3 minutes straight of fighting for this Baron to eventually go down. Replay into fight. Kisse's the target. They get the Ivan shield on the Darjung that slows Kisse down. They force the Tibbers, but they also knew you were there, and they cancel Yersan's crash down. And he's once again just cannon fodder, but so is Tien on this Renekton. And they just keep getting free resets.
Something has to change here, Rusty. Something has to change drastically at this point because the game is following a very similar timeline to what really happened in game one. Fast approaching 30 minutes and Chiefs have got a whiff of a victory. They're up by 5,000 gold. They've just picked up the Baron and they've still got that soul point to confirm really just how strong they are. But I will say, above all else, Darjung in a second game of this LeBlanc, he's just hit the Lich Bane. He has the power, the potential to try and bring it back.
Certainly does. Keep in mind, this gold right now, still very much Chiefs-sided, but the ornaments compensate an extra 1,000 gold apiece approximately between all of the Chiefs players. But Darjung looking like a bit of a split push Pete here with this Lich Bane build afterwards as well. Looking to break down these structures, but the Chiefs, they will not play slow.
They certainly will not play slow. If you go in for that, will make something happen as a result. Moonlight Vigil, Magnastorm, Wombo combo is looking good right now for Mammoth, and that means kill number 1 for Cheon. As he steps on forward, Galethor's red and white, he's in your face, he's getting it done, but forced the flash away. As Chiefs go, next minion wave, and we continue to press on forward. You can try and go for the split push. We're taking this inhibitor, but can Darjung answer back with one of their own?
Kisse is back, surviving in this skirmish by about 200 HP, and is able to get that Baron-empowered recall off, so it saves the trade. And Raze is just freely hitting. Every single time you look at this Ashe in these team fights, you get those replays. No one is able to stop Raze. And he's even got those summoner spells back and available. And now the Chiefs will break the base. The transaction will be a turret, but it's not going to be an inhibitor. And it won't even be the inhib turret, so that starts to regenerate. Soul point threatened again here, Skimmy. The Chiefs with the Baron buff in hand. Waiting about 10 seconds for that Ashe Arrow, 30 seconds for that Tibbers. Big cooldowns currently up.
Certainly will be the go button. Darjung really breaking the ankles of the two engaged threats there of the Chiefs. Worth noting, Race has actually gone for the Hex Drinker as well. He's really scared of this LeBlanc. As the Dragon gets looked at, but neither side overcommitting.
Because they know Flash that could be a prime target, but has also got the stopwatch on right now. Tien once again finds an insane flank angle, but what can this Renekton do? Darjung baits out the Ashe Arrow.
It's gone out, it's not found a target, and then Tien reveals himself as that raid boss, that nightmare target as he slices and dices onto Kisse's head. Cian, he's just dead, but the trade goes through. Ray's not in the Magnastorm. Look at the uptime. He could just absolutely rat-a-tat you all on down as Cheon's removed as he flashes on his head. He gets himself a triple, and Darjung's got the biggest uphill battle of his life. And it really is deja vu. 30 minutes again, another fight, and potentially a Chiefs victory.
Biopanther teleporting in, gonna force the reinforcements. Darjung just got cancelled by Aladoric, who might be throwing his life away. But we'll see what the trade will be here. Raze cannot walk through that tower because he would simply die. There's gonna be no Ashe for 5 to 10 more seconds. But I don't know if Darjung has it in him to stop this.
They're going to do whatever they can to try and prevent this one from falling on down, but he's already so low and his base is already exposed. And Chiefs, just like that, Rusty, they are on match point.
Mighty close to falling down at the last second there, the Chiefs. Ashe with about 300 health to the name and a Rel jumping on top of her. But the Chiefs will get that win. They will put themselves up 2-0. You can see the potential relief there on Raze's face as well. That was almost a did we throw this moment? Because if we lost that one, that could have been devastating. But no, they get the Nexus. And Raze is a man possessed. That might actually be the first breath he took in 20 minutes. He's just been team fighting insanely well. Flashing forwards as the Ashe as well. That's that energy that you like to see from him. he is just better.
He's got a point to prove here, Nap.
Yeah, it felt illegal just how freely he was able to hit in every fight. Him and Kisei as well. It felt like the two targets you really had to go for. Obviously, the whole side of Chiefs doing an amazing job of protecting them in those team fights. But my goodness, Mammoth, come on. At some point, you got to go. Raze can't sit here and just get to, like, right-click the rest of us down all the way until there's no more of us left.
I mean, it really did feel like the same issue as Game 1, where Mammoth try plays, but they just end up getting answered really well by the Chiefs, and it eventually just defaults to a 5v5 at a Dragon, in which even though Mammoth are able to get flanks, their engage is desynced for multiple reasons. Positioning, Aladoric's doing a good job of zoning people, but all in all, it was just the flankers getting caught out time and time again, giving Viego the easiest resets he's ever gotten to start a fight. And when you're playing against Viego and Kevy Viego nonetheless, you just can't be starting fights in that manner.
It's tough to see. We're going to see these highlights go out for game number 2, though. Obviously, big ups for Chiefs, but Mammoth, they do well. It's a lot more convincing than what we saw in game 1. It does give me this sliver of hope that it's not going to be a 3-0. When it comes to the draft, though, Max, let's talk about it. We thought there might have been the Tristana picked up. Chiefs maybe looking to ban it out for themselves, but I'm actually really surprised at what Mammoth banned out.
I don't like this draft either from Mammoth, to be honest. It's once again a case of, okay, we've drafted a very early game topside, and then our AD carry is sort of left alone on an island. Yes, he has an Ivern to protect him, but in a lot of these fights, his main contribution was just ulting over the top right. Wasn't really able to DPS too much just because of how much engage threat was coming from the Chiefs as well. I would love to see some more CC drafted in the top side of Mammoth in the next game.
And for me, Max, like, question me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like Tien's finding all the best flanking angles, always off vision.
Yep.
Just any other champion, I'm thinking like a Gnar, like a Kennen, suddenly it's a very different story. Yersun's not just jumping in, getting the Magnet Storm and saying, guys, help. I'm thinking suddenly you've got the entire team just dead.
Well, that's exactly right. And there are a bunch of scenarios where they actually were in good positions, like right here, actually does manage to kill off Kisei. But look at Dajong's positioning, right? He's playing back. Yosun's getting zoned on the side. The engage comes in after Tien's dead. So these opportunities have been created, right? There were creative flanks, especially from Tien, but they just mis-executed on them. And the Chiefs, if you don't manage to cleanly kill off Raze, and like you said, Nat, he will just pump out the damage in these extended fights.
Oh, heart goes out to Dajong, but also big out to Raze. Look at him. It's a sigh of relief for sure. He's like, oh, okay, we got that one down. I absolutely clutched it up for the team, and he did. He output that damage quite fairly there. I had a train of thought, and it's about this rel. It's about the supports I want to talk about, because I feel the weight of what Aladoric is doing for Chiefs in protection and engage and initiation is significantly more than what I'm seeing come out so far for Yersun. And he even had a rel which has been quite hotly contested in the playoffs so far.
I mean, plain and simple, it has been a support gap, right, for me so far this series. I think Aladoric's done a great job of both being the better engage, but also being very cognizant of the fact that the majority of Mammoth's engage budget is in that rel, right? So if you just keep him out of the fight, they're actually never going to be able to pull the trigger. You're going to be able to turn very nicely on the Renekton, which we saw give the shutdown over to Raze on the Ashe there. So he's just, yeah, he's gapping.
You're going a little bit back on, you know, what you said about
that.
Oh,
I've been back on that for like 3 weeks. Like, yeah.
3 weeks?
They're not the best.
Right, it's only been 1 week.
Not even close.
It makes you wonder, like, is Yersun the one objectively in the wrong, or is his team not there to follow him, right?
What my train of thought is it this champ thing? Is it the fact that it's not a whole draft that's able to support him for what he wants to go into? Is he not being decisive? Is the rest of the team not following up with him?
My thought is that the team's not following up with him,
Okay.
But it's tough. Like, this is something that you could only solve by knowing their comms, because like the setup is there. Like, we're all witnessing like the wave, the intended wave that's going to be crashed, the timing of the dive, and if the dive takes place and Annie or Nico, depending on the game, can just do something very simple and avoid it, then clearly the team cohesion isn't there. So it's hard for me to look and say it's obviously Yersun, because he's the one that suffers for the mistakes. It could be the team. It could be him ignoring the team and just going too hard. Like, we don't actually know. But it's very clear that Viego is too good against Mammoth with how they're currently playing, because it's free resets right now.
Yeah, Viego, Nico looking like 2 champs that are quite difficult for them to be carriers on the side of Chiefs in, you know, game 1 and game 2 respectively there. So does beg the question, when we look at game 3, if we don't want this to be a 3-0, if we want to see this best of 5 at least reach some amount of a distance, Max, where are some other change-ups going to need to come?
See, it
we
isn't a
shoot
pick
blue side, right? We don't know yet.
So I actually liked Mammoth's approach to draft this game. I think that the way it panned out was actually quite decent for them. I think maybe instead of the Ivern, you do pair, you know, you slam a Renekton Sejuani, you slam something of the like where you can actually play. You have a bit more CC in that top side, a bit more playmaking around Tien. I think he looks good on the Renekton, right? He's been winning lanes. He's been able to get some advantages there in terms of TPing down. He's been more active on the map than Biopanther, but I think that hasn't really actually meant much in the extended fights. I'd love to see as well Cheon being freed up a little bit more to be able to actually play in some of these fights, right? His team's just so far been diving in ahead of him. He's been left to sort of his own devices. And yeah, look, to me, I don't know, switch something up. Don't pick the Ivern again.
Very split Mammoth. Let's see if they're on the same page, because we are going to see what side select that they have chosen for themselves. They're going back for this blue side, and also there are no more. There are no subs for Chiefs. I was like, there are no more subs. No one subbing in for Chiefs is what I'm trying to say here.
Makes sense.
I'm curious because so they ban away the Nico. We were discussing it before in the draft, right? They ban away the Nico, maybe favoring the LeBlanc side of things more. But if it is a case of Yorsum being either disconnected or just not being complemented well enough, maybe there's a case where you ban the LB and go for the Nico first instead. Obviously, we know that Dajong is very, very good at that champion as well.
I would like to see anything but the LeBlanc at this point.
Right,
like,
so
Dajong's played amazing.
You still got the wave clear function of it. You still got the elusive nature of it, and you still got that massive potential, right, to go for these big fights where it might be a little bit more difficult then for Chiefs to try and navigate the peeling, the protecting, and the sort of the Viego resetting.
And I think that's what they're lacking, right? It is the ease of execution in fights. Nico, incredibly easy teamfight champion. Your root can just be a fish that you can use to non-committal to sort of just test if there's going to be a fight, and then that ult, obviously we've seen so many times, flashing, proto-belting forwards to be the difference maker in a fight.
Yeah, I'm actually expecting Sully to just go back to his, like, greedy
I'd hope
standard.
So.
For the carry again?
Yeah, so, like, LeBlanc is so good for junglers because it is guaranteed gank setup. And so you just slam a Kha'Zix, and you've got a LeBlanc lane to go towards, and suddenly you're a fed Kha'Zix, right? Mammoth have done that against Chiefs. It didn't work, but they did it against Pentanet, and it worked. They did it against Vertex, and it worked. I think that, you know, 0-2 down, they're going to do that. They're probably not going to go the Hecarim amount of Selfish, but I think we will get, like, LeBlanc, and we'll still get, like, a Kha'Zix with it instead. Something that just gives them more early game skirmishing strength, because this is just not doing it so far.
No, it's not, and it feels like they're being mind controlled by Chiefs. That's what we heard in Dajong for the interview coming into here, where he talked about the last time they faced up, they felt like they were playing Chiefs game. They were playing into Chiefs' hand. I'm sorry to say, but it's happened again for these these last two games. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen again for that third. I'm really hoping that they take this. They go, hey, it could be our last one. Let's have some fun. Let's go back on what we're comfortable with. But we're not going to get that just yet. Instead, we're going to have a look at some more submissions that you guys gave us when we asked you the question, what are your ranked aspirations? So using hashtag LCO, you guys submitted some answers on Twitter. We got Marcus. He just straight up, he's been honest, be better. His ranked aspirations is just to be better.
How?
You can extrapolate that and say, does that apply to life in general? Or is it just ranked?
Oh.
You know, are we talking fitness? Are we talking mental health? Are we talking
He's
diet?
talking about everything competitive in his life.
Yeah.
Everything's ranked.
I love it.
Competition.
The only person you should be aiming to beat is the version of yourself that existed yesterday. And I think that this is a real fantastic approach to take. You know, you get knocked back in LP, don't look at LP. Who cares, right? I was Diamond 4, I'm now Diamond 3.
You know what it reminds me of? Those reels that you see of guys in the gym and they're lifting the weights and they're looking at their phone. It's just red because all the defeats. It's like, gotta get through it, man. It is what it is.
There you go, be better. We don't know how just yet, but you can be better. We've got Caffeinated Cutie. Not to tilt when your top laner goes 0-8 at 10 minutes in. But actually to have fun playing ranked games are meant to be fun.
That is the single piece of advice that everyone that plays League of Legends should take on board, is that you are playing a video game. Like, when all is said and done, yeah, some people can be really frustrating, and yes, it's ranked and you want to win, but you're also still playing a video game. And at its core, it's meant to be fun.
I'll put my hand up. I'll be the first to admit I have let LP define me at one point in my life, and it was a miserable time.
Really?
Yeah.
What was your LP at the time?
Anyway.
Next question.
It was a dark time in my life, Max. All right,
Okay.
I'd like to
Sorry
not
for
bring it up
asking.
anymore.
The copium answer I
it.
always got. Somebody always told me, you can always get bad teammates, you can always get griefers, all the rest of it, right? But as long as your performance is improving, or as long as you're getting better each game, like the matchmaking, the whatever you call it, is always going to balance out. It's just repetitions, more and more games. You're not going to like hit Challenger in 10 games. It might take you like 30, 50, 100, whatever it might be. But as long as you're playing consistent, who cares what your teammates are doing?
At the end of the day, numbers are just numbers. Have fun. That's what it's all about. Find some homies to do some ranked grind with as well. And we've got another one coming up. Oh no, we're talking about our LCO All-Pro fan vote. Sorry, I thought it's still hearing from the fans. This time it's in a different way though. You can do your vote for your Split 2 All-Pro team! !Discord in chat if you want more information about that one. Finding out how to participate. The voting does close on Wednesday, the 26th of July. So a little bit of warning. Wednesday next week, that voting closes. There's a lot of things going on next week. You got the voting close.
5 days?
Yeah, you got 5 days. It's the 21st today. So you got 5 days to get your voting in. You got 7 days to prep for the community night. And you got 9 days to prep for the grand final.
Look, everyone's got queue time between their 2v2v 2v2 modes. Just fill in the form during the queue time.
Like one question each time you queue up. Before you know it.
If you like.
I used to try to study like that. It's the worst thing ever.
Max, what,
like,
you
yeah,
read like
I'll do
4
2
words?
minutes of revision in between my queue times. No, does not
You have
work.
to reward full completions with games instead of like 2 minutes apiece.
Yeah, no, it's like once I was getting high elo, like it worked because it's like 30-minute queue times, but before that, would not recommend.
Well, look, we got a little bit of a wait time going on right now. It's going to be a break between Game 2 and Game 3 here. When we come back, it will be Chiefs versus Mammoth.
What can this Renekton do? Darja baits out the Ash Arrow.
It's gone out, it's not found a target, and then Tien reveals himself as that raid boss, that nightmare target as he sliced and dices onto Kise's head. Sirianni's just dead, but the trade goes through. Ray's got on the Magnus Storm. Look at the uptime. He could just absolutely rat-a-tat you all on down as Chains removes as he flashes on his head. He gets himself a triple.
That was an awful intro.
That was a terrible intro.
That was really bad.
That was like one of those worst.
That was pathetic.
That was just
really
awful.
bad. Hey everyone, and welcome to Touching Grass. We're here with Why Not, and we thought the best thing to do today while touching grass was play some chess.
In the park.
In the park.
While touching grass.
And chess.
Chess.
How does chess work?
How does chess? Can you play chess?
Yeah, I know how to play chess,
okay,
but it's like.
There we go. You know how does chess work?
Okay, but like, what? How does time matter?
All right. So what you do is you put play when we start, yeah, and then my thing will start, and then I play my turn, tap. You play your turn, tap. I'll remind you. It's all good.
Okay. Please
so
do.
now we'll just do, we'll start with the handshake.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, good luck, man. Oh, okay, how do you, how much, oh yeah, right, I got this button. When did you start playing chess? Like, why is it such a big part of your life? You're playing me now, you play people at bars and stuff when we went to Fortress?
I don't know, I think right in my 6th birthday, a kid in my class got me a,
oh yeah, right.
Got me a learn chess, like chess set. And then I learned chess, and then I was just playing.
You didn't play chess before that?
Before I learned to play chess, I didn't play chess, no.
And you used your exquisite memory to borrow a book from the library about how to beat your dad at chess?
Oh, yeah, there's a, there's a book by Murray Chandler, who's actually, educational stuff, but he's actually New Zealand's only grandmaster, historically. My grandfather used to give me like, I don't know, 50 cents, maybe $1 when I beat him. Very quickly that stopped after I was winning consistently.
Old bro. Hey man, what's up?
Not much.
Hello.
Freezing.
Hey everyone. We it's really cold, but we're back outside finally touching grass, this time with Rosie. Vertex jersey on the outside. Luckily I get to stay nice and warm with my jacket.
Got to keep insulated.
Oh man, are you doing okay? You were like making fun of me for being cold earlier, but you've been like in the nice and warm for a while now, haven't you?
No, I have, yeah. I just sit inside of my room, the heater on for like 24. Yeah, it's a lot better than out here, that's for sure.
Have you been in Melbourne your whole life?
Pretty much outside of, I guess, going to like Sydney for gaming houses. Then yeah, I've pretty much been in Melbourne my whole life.
See, I keep hearing a lot about these gaming houses and everyone's talking about how legendary they were, especially back in the day, like OPL days. Tell me a bit more about the gaming houses. What was it like?
I probably had good gaming houses from hearing some other people's experiences. Some of them have apparently not been so good and really messy and stuff, but I guess the ones I was involved with, I think was like with Abyss and like Bombers, was that, you know, we all had our chores to do, we all did our chores, everything was clean. So it honestly wasn't too bad. It was honestly kind of nice just being with other people that share like the same passion as you. You kind of like wake up, you're just surrounded by people that you have the same goals with and you want to work towards. So I don't know, it was a good experience.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kise's not able. It's a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second.
Tippies is on an absolute tear right now.
We'll give you a little bit of extra content there that you get to watch in the break. It was nice to see Quicksand talk to Weiner, have a chat to Rosie as well, catch up with those guys there. But it's time for us to catch up with what's happening in this best-of-5 series. Max, give me Rusty. Your back's against the wall. You're Mammoth. You're a Mammoth fanboy. What do you need to see from them here? They've got blue side yet again for themselves, knowing that Kevy's still going to be there on the Chiefs roster.
Blue, ice, cold, extinct.
All the
Cheers
things that Mammoth and Dare have in common. I don't know.
How does that help them win? Going extinct.
Well, that's what happened to them on the blue side because it was a cold ice age, so they're just gone. But maybe with modern day technology, they can bring it back. You know, they're going to try and bring it back somehow. They're going to try and bring Mammoth back to life. So maybe that's what they need to do. They need to somehow contact some NASA scientists. Over to you, Max.
NASA specializing in bringing back dead animals.
Yeah, I thought you would have gone for like the Jurassic Park reference.
No.
Anyway, Max.
There could be elephants on
the
moon.
What am I saying?
I don't know. See me through it to you.
I don't know how to follow off that one, but to answer your earlier question as to what I want to see, is I want to see something weird from these guys. They've played a Mumu, they've played Karthus before, they've played Kha'Zix. Give me something that's not an Ivern from Sully.
Yeah, all right. Well, we have that Dare fan vote in the corner. That top right hand is where you can put your points. For now, though, you're not going to hear from me and Max much longer because Champ Select is ready.
Is this the decider? That is the question. Game number 3. Chiefs are on match point. As the Mammoth, they've got to run it back, and they would need to run it back with 3 back-to-back games.
Yeah, look, now I do agree that Mammoth needs to change it up. I think that the current champions that Mammoth have been locking have been strong. The current compositions that Mammoth have been locking in just doesn't work for them. Like I think it's either overcomplicated or just not something that they're familiar with. Maybe they don't get all of these champions in unison every time, but like whatever it is, they are not connecting like their comp could. It seems like something very, very big is missing from them, so a change up in comp would be lovely from the side of Mammoth.
That was what I was asking for, right? Would we see them actually ban away the LB and try and get themselves that first pick Nico? So the Chiefs say, nah, not going to happen. We're far more happy for you to get your hands on the Kaiser if you so want it, and we'll deny that Nico. So first pick Rel currently being hovered here. Would seem quite likely, unless they decide to really change things up here and say, we just want more engage, full stop.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised for the Chiefs to go either Zaya or Rakan, but Zaya's gone into like Rel now instead, right? And they get to kind of pick whatever comp they would like around that Rel. I don't think Rel's a bad pick. I don't think Annie's a more important pick than a Rel. Also, like, realistically, what's to stop them from like a Rel Viego? You know, something that Kevy's really comfortable on and just found a lot of success with, but also...
Jace Kaiser.
Yeah, look how long's it been since we've seen Jace Kaiser that we almost didn't mention it.
Please. Just lock it in. Just hit them with the poke comp.
Hey, Jace Maokai. Jace Maokai, then Kaiser.
Jace Maokai, they cooking.
And now we're watching Bliss.
Hey, there it is. So look, hey, you can deny away the Rel and say, hey, maybe Annie Wukong or Annie Viego is just a little bit stronger, but you've just given Chiefs the ability to still play slow, play methodical, and come around that mid game and say, if we are fighting for these objectives, it's now even easier for us to go for it.
This is straight up a draft where Sully Nocturne is the play for me. I did mention that, like, you know, Mammoth's key, and it's not specifically an issue, but their flavor is that they have specific champions that only they play. So while Sully's hovering the Blug, perfect example of it, that's a Sully pick, right? The rest of the world, yeah, I'm sure they can all play Kha'Zix, but that's a Sully pick. Rel does get locked in for them here. Makes a lot of sense. To follow that up, though, is my question. Where do they actually pick? I'd love to see an AD carry, ideally something that can hold its own against the Kaiser in laning phase. You could go the Draven if you chain.
You certainly could, or you could go max range. Yeah, you certainly have asked for a Jinx before, so even if the laning phase isn't the best, you're not expecting the most aggressive laning phase from the Kaiser either, so you can certainly scale yourself up and be that menace, be that range champion that gets to run amok by getting excited. Now the question becomes to Chiefs, what is the jungler you want? Surely it's the Maokai.
Just lock in the tree.
And have you not now just got the 3 best champions?
You could do Sejuani, but I think the Maokai just, it's the staple, right? You've got the free setup, you've got the ability to check bushes with the saplings. It's now just a poke composition through and through. And Mammoth currently have an Annie and a Jinx that do not like being poked.
No.
So now Mammoth with their 4-5 have to do some soul searching.
Puts even more importance on them to try and find that hard engage before the poke comes out. Absolutely right. So what are we looking as the bans for them to deny? Well, for Chiefs, It's making sure that Sully doesn't get that flavor of Kha'Zix, so that's going to be denied away. As for Mammoth, though, it's a case of making sure that they can deny any further engaged threats for him to pull the trigger once somebody's been poked down low enough. So the Alistair to make sure that the Rel actually gets to play. I'm wondering if they would go even further and say we need to ban away like a Gragas, for instance.
I think you probably just get rid of the Nautilus. Milio, I guess, can be considered. You've seen Alidoric play it and can make Rel's life annoying, but I'm not sure Milio would have been the pick. I was going to say Rakan's probably the pick anyway for Alidoric.
Rakan, Sion, GG.
I was expecting Nautilus ban, Rakan pick, but now Alidoric gets his choice. So, straight up, pick whichever one you would prefer. I think Nautilus makes it a lot easier. I would love that. I don't think we've seen Alidoric play it yet. Bliss did ban it though, so certainly something that I'm sure he would pick. And you said Sion?
Sion, if it was with the Rakan, very much like the ground zero, just run it down kind of composition. But I'm thinking at this point now, you're just looking for a split pushing champion. Almost like a Cassante, Jax.
Jax? Yeah, I think if it was a Sejuani, you would slam Jax here, no issues. You get to see the matchup first and foremost anyway, right? So which side of the coin would you like to be on? Cassante going to be locked, so maybe it's just a Renekton here for the Chiefs.
Let's see then, how do they round it out here? How do Mammoth look to try and complete their own version of Exodia? To have the aggression, to have the Kha'Zix denied, to need something spicy from Sully, to bring it all the way back to what made him a pro in the first place. Is it the Karthus, or is it that Hecarim?
He seems confident. They will just lock in the Karthus. And then to no one's surprise, it is just going to be an Ornn again. Biopanther has decided that he is tanks only today. And so it will be a tank once again. Does open up the Maokai to be the first strike AP build anyway, which makes sense. That's what their composition was after.
Yep.
So Jace, Kai'Sa, Maokai, poke composition in place. Ornn, Nautilus, the engage that lets this comp turn from poke to hard engage. That is their go buttons. And the Chiefs have a comp that we know works because we've seen it beat the Chiefs by Bliss, our first PCS representatives, and on the cusp of going to the LCO finals for that debut and return to the Bliss matchup. The Chiefs will go to the tried and true that we know works brilliant.
It certainly has. As for Mammoth, though, they've tried to make changes. They've really flavored in some of the champions that have made them so successful in the past, and really hoping that this is the winning formula, the perfect recipe to upset the hard harass comp that the Chiefs have put together. And I think when you've talked about it in the past, you've said you'd like the snap reaction of a Rakan, something like a Malphite, anything that gives you, first of all, flanking opportunities, but then the surprise factor to hit the switch and say, we're going in, I've had enough.
Yeah, cheeky kill switch engage angle there, Skimmy, if you know what I mean. I think for Mammoth, like, if there was one thing that I would say for them, I like the comp here in the way that it has that Annie, Flash Tibbers, has the Rel, so those two now get to work together. And Jinx, the reason that I brought up Jinx way earlier in this series was because you don't have to be with your team, but you still get to be involved in the team, right? Annie, Tibbers, Rel comes down, Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, and you've got the Execute, and you get excited. So you still get to be a part of the team. Karthus, Jinx ults, with the rest of the squad being the engaged tools here is what Mammoth are after. And Jason, Kai'Sa, again, yes, long range. You would say by far outrange their opponents here in every single position, but if they close that distance, Jason, Kai'Sa die. So that's the consideration that you have here. If you are Mammoth, welcome back.
Welcome back. It's game 3. It's match point. Chiefs are hungry, and they're forcing flashes as a 5-man unit, barreling right down the mid lane. So just like that, no flash available for Dajong now on this Annie. And Kiste's really enjoying life as the Jace.
Alidoric hits the menu pog in chat. No hesitation. Loading into this third game, we know, and everyone at home should be very much aware of what this Jace Kai'Sa composition does, what the Maokai provides to it. We highlighted it during the draft phase. The question for us is how do Mammoth switch that up, right? There is still an item breakpoint for this comp. There is still the early necessity of farming to get there. Kai'Sa wants the static shiv, wants to build that into the third item, which is like a Ludens in this poke build. That's a big breakpoint. Jace can scale earlier with a lethality build. So can the Maokai with his first item. But it is the phase rush, not the first strike. There's Tien. Standard Tien now at this point, isn't it?
It really is. If you're going to go for the leash, then we're going to look to try and punish you as a result. So Tien's going to make his presence known on Vision, of course. That was planted nice and early by him. As he returns back to lane to get the job started. Bot lane though, No surprises. Beautiful disengage there by Aladoric as Yerson jumps it with a crash down. A hook says no to that plate. And Raze is protected.
So nothing doing just yet, right? Just a little bit of a poking over the head in there. Karthus wants to full clear. Karthus wants to farm incredibly fast. Maokai, I would say, is a successful farming jungler, but not going to be as fast as the flash from Yerson.
Yeah, it all came out at the end. It does eventually force Raze to burn double summoners. Yerson's angry, I tell you what. He really wants to make sure this rail works this time.
And he flashes the hook too. It actually really nicely finds his target, but the hook from Aladoric connects this time around, and it's their turn. Back and forth lane.
Brings it back, does a lot of damage to Yerson in return, and says this isn't going to be a freebie. And I tell you what, they've got a lot of CC to spotlight Mammoth, don't they? I mean, Crashdown goes out, the stun from the Lance, the Chompers too. And the Jinx with a few items. He's definitely going to unleash a world of pain. The level 3 rotation for the jungler. Kevy's here. What does he do? Flash, twisted advance, Bramble smash you back, hammer form, crash down, swing him away. And hit him to the head to get first blood.
It's such an easy first blood here from the Chiefs. You could see how calm and measured they were. The Hex flash, the stun though.
Back down to bot lane. Chompers are active. Raze in trouble, and Sully's here to lay waste to them. So he'll get the kill. Yerson won't die. The Igniter's ticking, but he needed just one more auto attack.
And jungle is the difference down here in bottom lane. Sully just with one lay waste. Now they move forwards. They'll find Kevy. They know that he's low. So it just becomes a smite fight.
Kissy has no mana. How much more can he help them? Because they jump on it with the Hex Flash. Aladoric dragging back Sully, but the damage has already been done as Yerson is going to be the one to fall on down in this one. That means that double buffs now go the way of Kissy. So he flashes on Sully's head. He's going to slow you down. Double buff denied once. How about make it twice? As they try and find a way to get this calf is dead. And he's juggling and juking and driving his best to sidestep the shock blast. But Raze might fall on down. But Kissy's taken two. And the zap connects. And Chan flashes in. Look how many buffs have been transferred.
It's 4-3 in 4 minutes in. Everyone just skirmishing. There is a 3-in-1 Jace in mid lane that's about to teleport back in though. And Darjung not going to be happy about that one. Missing the flash, missing the teleport himself. All things considered, an endless battle here. Kevy, desperate for this blue buff, didn't want to let this go away. Will secure it, but at the cost of his life, has to use the twisted advance. And they're just able to lock him down. But then Yerson sacrifices himself and actually gives over the blue buff, which lets Kisei be aggressive here, knowing that he's going to get that mana back. And he comes in with a clutch shield that actually baits Raze in. And because all three of them are there, it disperses the Q between all of them and actually stops that from being lethal damage. And then they get excited. Chaeyoung gets the reset. Presence of Mind gives him the mana back, and he flashes over the wall. Still good from Mammoth, but really look at the knock-on effects of this. Chiefs do not slow down the game.
Certainly don't. You can have your double buff chain, but you're not going to be able to actually step up to this wave to get the XP and to get any of that gold. That does then force the entirety of mid jungle to come on down bot lane to help bail them out of this very poor situation.
There's some hunting as well, but that Jace is an issue. I don't think you can do this if you're Mammoth. You can't even entertain this right now. Because they came back with a serrated Dirk and it's here. He has staying power, he has more damage than you, and Darjung is out of that lane for the present moment until he hits level 6. And then they just spent this much time taking damage from the Jace poke, so this objective goes over. No contest. The other point that we didn't really get a chance to mention, Skimmy, is that first base from this Karthus after all of those kills. That's a huge purchase. Lost Chapter and the Dark Seal.
Massive.
That's going to be a big jungler who's also even potentially for a second there was going to leech some experience. Realizes it isn't solo queue.
No, did I realize, hey, I do actually have a mid laner.
My creed has limits, apparently.
Sully going to be living very pretty right now, isn't he? The fact that he can farm up an absolute treat, make that first gank work his way. He's the one to receive the kill from it and then vacuum up a bunch of assists as well. And the Karthus is going to spike very quickly in this game, as is the Jace at this current rate. What does it mean as the mid-game comes around? And my God, that Dare fan vote, that is just completely gone in favor of Chiefs now. There was a chance when there was some Mammoth believers, but now they're really up against the wall.
Sully is about one jungle camp away from level 6. He's sitting mid lane right now. Wasn't sure if he was going to try and leech experience, because again, he may. Just waiting for that blue buff to spawn, has some time. Nothing doing though. Just a little bit of an expedition towards the enemy side of the map, waiting for that blue buff to spawn. Every time you look back mid now, though, the Jace is going to be trying to harass, and it's just one Gate Shock Blast. Then it's 2, and then Dajong's half health, and he feels pressured in this lane. And Kisei as well, I think, with a very heads-up and super smart decision here in terms of itemization choices, gone for the early Null Magic Mantle for the Magic Resistance. Same thing can be said for Kevi, who goes for those Merc Treads. They do not want to die to the Karthus Annie mid-jungle duo. Magic Resistance early is invaluable for them, as is that Boots too, to dodge the Skittles as well as survive the damage.
Looking to try and set up a trap is the Chiefs right now in the bot lane here. Meanwhile, top lane, Tien's gone all out, looking to try and take down Biopember, but the hook is good, so the fight breaks out. Kevi's patience may now be rewarded. No flash available for Jinx, so the Twisted Advance comes on in, one target in mind, and that is take this Jinx down. Raze gets his first kill of the game. He's a happy man. As he'll cleanse out of harm's way and make sure that Sully can't upset the party.
Yeah, not going to be able to provide any damage just there. A little bit too fast to the play is Kevi, and again, Boots diff. Quite significant there. Kisei looked like he was going to go towards the top side of the map. Every time we look up there, Tien is just trying to break down this immovable object that is Biopanther, but he's still just resolute, just hanging out in top lane, trying to hold on.
Biopember like, yep, lock me in on 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
That's what I want to play this series.
He is the type of top laner to say, yeah, give me on, I'm confident, I don't care. I've already won.
Yeah, save me 5th pick on, that's the pick. That's what we need. I'm going to really make sure that Tien does not have any fun in this lane.
Until Tien proves that he can beat the Ornn, why change it? Essentially what Biopanther is saying here. Against other teams, he may pick in that Kazante, but not in this one. Herald to be started on Vision, Maokai nearby. Ornn as well can sound the horn, but the Rel is already here, so Chaeyon, not being supported, is just going to watch as the Chiefs move up. The question is, will they move up to fight?
Well, that's it, right? It's a bit of protection afforded to Dajong to make sure that they can actually successfully go for this Herald, which is proving to be the case right now, because they'll get the first rotate out of mid to make that happen. Kevi might be isolated as a result of this one. Has a flash available, but can he actually use it? He's going to jump in for the fight, baiting the engage, dodging flash, Tibbers takes him down in the process. The Herald is still there. The fight continues as Aladoric has found himself amongst absolute chaos. As the Void Seeker right in his face, Raze goes in with a killer instinct, looking to try and snipe out Yerstein, is successful in doing just that. But the Requiem from the Afterlife, Kisei's going down, and it's an absolute bloodbath.
It certainly is. 2 members gone from Mammoth, a similar number here as well from the Chiefs. Maokai just fresh off that respawn. Yosh is back, Kevi gets the phase rush proc off, and you think he's out, but Dajong super heads up, reaction time flashing forwards to make sure that kill comes through, and also weaves the auto. Aladoric gets really spaced here, trying to get an auto attack off to Dajong, ends up hooking Sully, and that's where this fight starts to take a turn. Raze has been freely hitting once again, but Kisei starts this fight half health because of the Tibbers that was thrown onto him, and then has to accept reality that he's dead and tries desperately to take Tien with him. But another casualty in that skirmish. The winner is still Raze, all things considered, but so much money into the hands of Dajong, and Sully getting that kill means he has his mythic already.
He certainly does. And on top of all of that there, Rusty, it's actually Biopember that takes away the Herald for the side of Chiefs. Amongst all that fighting, they do win out on that objective. That certainly does help Dajong's life into the rather strong Jace matchup. But the double AP setup here for Mammoth. They're getting gold, they're getting strong, and they're getting quite scary.
What was a bit of a rough start for Raze is why I feel like he was the biggest winner. Was hard pressured, was dealing with perhaps a mismatch in AD strength when Sully came down there with the early ganks, but they stopped pressuring bottom completely. Now the Drake is up. Big cooldowns are starting to come back from Mammoth, but no Karthus ultimate, no Tibbers just yet. Give him 15 seconds. Drake gets started. It'll be up by the time the Drake dies. But also missing key summoner spells to make any kind of contest happen here as well. No flash for this Tibbers. No flash for the Rel, it's a Hex flash. And it's spotted.
Out. So zoned away is the side of Mammoth as the TPs are going to come in a little bit too late. The fight's already done, the Dragon's already been claimed. And it's a long walk back to top lane. Unless they can try and isolate out Dajong here.
I think Dajong's saved by the Mountain Rift.
Yeah.
A big old wall just spawns between him. He's just earthbended safety.
He's very grateful of the circumstances. Herald will be immediately used though in the mid lane as he does take the long way back to mid. The extra plates of gold go their way. And the Chiefs still unable to find a way to get a big enough gold lead for it to really affect the overall standings.
Oh, Chaeyon, Raze, no ultimate, does have the flash and the cleanse though, so has to be careful. Every time you look away from this bottom lane, just for a little bit more, you know, it's like Raze starting to edge his lead out. Chaeyon does not get supported by Mammoth. That is one thing that I find irksome about this team, is they give him a lead and then they're like, good luck.
Yeah.
For the next 15 minutes, try and keep that one, Chief. We're going to do things elsewhere on the map. This is one of those games where, like, ultimately, yeah, they've got a Karthus in the jungle, right? They've got options to be greedy in multiple places at the same time. But they really do leave Chaeyon to the wolves.
Which is so weird when you consider the matchup you're going into, right? Obviously, you're going to be truly tested by the likes of Raze and Aladora, but we've seen Chaeyon pop off multiple times before, so why is the conscious decision to allow him just to be forced to fight his own fight and try and find success and strength elsewhere? One of those clear considerations being Tien, who's once again looking to try and keep Biopemper zoned underneath his turret and find an avenue to take him down. Hasn't happened yet. Sun hasn't stopped him from trying.
First strike, Karthus here as well has just completed those Sorcerer's Shoes, so starting to find a little bit more damage as Aladoric gets cancelled, is engaged on.
Yeah, it's the Chompers, the Magnet Storm, a bit of CC laid down onto him, so he's copped an Ignite in the process too, but despite being 50%, doesn't really care. Walks away from this one, Kisse reminds him with a Shock Blast across the wall. As the wave crashes, more money going into the hands of Raze.
So this is an opportunity for me to truly look at Mammoth and say, is this a team worthy of pushing the Chiefs out of the finals, depending on what happens in the next coming minutes, right? Flashes back for everyone. Item spikes almost there for everyone. Tien in big trouble, though, but actually...
It's getting close, though, isn't he? The flash, the Entova strikes, drags him back, but really, what are you looking for underneath the turret when you're already so low?
Will flash not back for everyone anymore?
Biopemper was just like, well, I'll take that. That's a flash down.
That is a little bit psycho from the Cassante. Not able to get the kills, though, has an item spike and tried to use that to his advantage. Is actually pushed out of the lane, and Bio just going to have a free reset here regardless. The main point that I want to make here is I feel like once we get that rocket belt from Dajang, which is what it looks like it's going to be, all of the important members that can coordinate an effort to engage against the Chiefs are going to be ready to go at full strength. So that's on now. 1 minute, 45 seconds till the Drake Herald is looking like it's going to be up pretty soon as well. So if you're Mammoth, I really want to see Yersan and Dajang work together. Find the picks onto the Kai'Sa and the Jace ideally. Kai'Sa a bit harder with the cleanse there, but a Rel can do that. If they don't find those targets, they start to get outranged from here on out. So this is their opportunity to find a lead when it matters, before Raze can just play Void Seeker build. And before Kisse can just gate shock blast half your health away.
That's it. It's a defining moment in this game. 15 minutes in whilst the gold is dead even. Those first items are a clear indication as to how this game could go. Requiem comes out. There is the Tibbers on his head. Kisse knocking him back with the Eclipse procs. He gets the movement speed. He gets the shield. Most importantly, Rusty, he gets to walk away.
Yeah, Karthus ultimate used for that one too, so he simply survives. They look forward towards an assassination on the side. Aladoric takes a fair chunk of damage here. Will have to walk back towards the safety of his team. Biopanther spotted, I believe, on the flank here as well. Yersan will confirm that one either way. But the Tibbers is gone. The flash is still there, but the Tibbers is gone. Mammoth control the river, however.
Certainly do.
They don't even clear the pit. Never mind. They don't control the river. River belongs to the Chiefs.
They just walk out of it, right? Void Seeker goes out as well. The members of Chiefs now start to step up and scout out what's going on. So what if they're not starting it, then that's a freebie for us.
So Drake's up in 10 seconds. They need to send the Annie back to base. Teleport going to be there for Dajang. And once again, I look towards the Rel, I look towards the Annie. I say those timers are still there, those cooldowns are still there. You've given away a Herald for an attempted kill onto Kisse, but he's got the Merc Treads and the Flash, so he survived, but now he's flashless.
Tibbers will be up for this one, depending on how long it takes to try and actually claim it, but there won't be any Requiem. Is that enough of a difference maker here for Mammoth? For them to still feel confident about taking this play. Dajang lagging behind right now. The Herald takes down that mid-tier one. The Dragon still being looked at and still being taken by Mammoth. As two members blast code themselves in. Bio sounds the Orno and drags them all together to Twisted Advance to try and find the target they're after. The Nature's Grasp locks them down.
but Darshung's dead. Never got a chance to make the Tibbers do damage. And the Dragon held in midair. It's a battle between two Smite. Who confirms it? Boy, Kevy does. And at this point now, you got the CDs, you got the range, you've got the way to shut these members down. And Chiefs are just having fun with it.
And for just a second there, maybe it looked like they left Kisei to the Wolves, but they survive. Everybody here from the Chiefs alive. They'll break the turrets, they'll get the plates. They're looking at bot lane for another dive.
They're looking for another dive. Raze is busy split pushing mid lane. He's doing it all on his own right now. 2 casualties in this bot lane. They'll just walk away from the dead Karthus.
They don't actually need to walk away from Yersan though. He's got nowhere to go. Cancel the recalls with saplings.
As they all jump in as a 4-man unit, he'll get a shutdown by taking down Kevy. May he find 2? He will! He'll take down 3, Rusty!
The cost very high to take down Yersan. But look, 3 kills into the hands of a support, so be it. You also got the mid lane inner turret. It is what it is. Ornhorn comes through, Rel engages, and he flashes forwards. Does get the Tibbers off, but flashes straight into a hook as well, and was just immediately blown up. Was not able to get any kind of layered damage followed through here as well from Chaeyon, or from Tian, or from Sully, because the fight was split. They engage out of the pit, but the reinforcements weren't there. It was not front to back. They get those easy kills. I don't think we need to watch the running it of Chiefs here, do we? They'll stop the bases. This part's really good. And Raze also is just pushing mid lane during all of this. So they'll break that turret. Sully dying. This is great. And for a second there, you're like, oh, I guess you could just call it a day here. But there is a Rel by herself that has to recall. But we don't have a minion wave. You probably want to hit the Maokai W here to stop yourself from dying, but doesn't get it off because he's stunned by the Q. And then all hell breaks loose here. Skimmy, they just all fall down to say, well, we're committed to this. We may as well make it worth our time.
And they say, you know what? It's worth. It's a Fed Rel, but do we really mind? Because at that point, all the assists are gone. There is no shared gold for anybody else to really benefit from that play. Requiem used.
That was a Karthus who wanted to void stuff.
He certainly did. And a TP flank with a rocket from the base. Raze is going to try and do Mission Impossible. I don't think he's successful.
Yep, he was given an out. He found his out. Didn't have to go towards the damage that was running at him. Instead, found a support right next to a wall. And gets himself out to safety. Really nicely done by Raze. A tragedy for Mammoth, though, to say the least.
Looking like a bit of a Chinese TikTok there for a second, where every skill shot comes at him from every angle. How does he survive? Yeah. How does he get out of this situation? What he does, he just hits a fadeaway ultimate and says goodbye.
1 in a million universes, he finds the way out from this one, and this just happened to be the one. Shutdown stays with Raze, is not given over. Even Kisei ahead of Raze in terms of total gold. Oh, the Chiefs are in a very comfortable spot right now with the looming presence of Karthus and Chaeyon, who is still high on the leaderboard in terms of his relative gold, but it just doesn't compare. He's 2,000 behind Kisei.
Yeah, very far behind and very much at the whim of what damage Sully can put out for him to then try and snipe away a passive kill. To get excited and potentially snipe up a few more as well. Baron has spawned, and with it being dark there for Mammoth, they're a little bit concerned about face checking that one, but will Biopamphlet revealing himself bot lane. I mean, it's just a straight win here for Chiefs. That's turret number 4 for them, opening up the map just that much wider now.
We're starting to near that point of no return though, Skimmy, where the composition of the Chiefs becomes just far too annoying. There's a ward here at the Baron buff that does spot them, so an opportunity is there. Sully has the ultimate back. Teleports are going to come through. You know that Mammoth are going to look to contest this one, but what if they look to turn instead?
Look at Kisei's flank. Does he play this one slow? Does he just reveal himself right off the bat? He certainly does just that. Draws Mammoth all into the same area. Forces them to be entertained by their poke.
Still looking though. I mean, ultimately the teleport was wasted by Biopanther, so when you consider that, it's not a bad trade here for Mammoth. They get an opportunity to put some chip damage down on this mid lane outer turret as well. And they create a bit of space on the map. They better be fast with those fingers, dodging out those abilities. It looks like the Gust Walker though for Sully, so when he's in the brush, he does move quick enough to get the dodge out there on the Void Seeker.
Yeah, Void Seeker already evolved, so if that hits, that cooldown drastically reduced. And that's certainly when it starts to become fairly oppressive to deal with. Bit of
bit of a dance-off now. Well, if you're not going to fight us at the Baron, we'll just turn our attention towards the Dragon. That is Mountain Soul for us.
Skimmy, do you want to dance off? That's the question. Karthasol, that's really big. Raze has no health. Is able to sit back and just throw those Void Seekers out if they connect, but he's half HP. Is now reliant on a single Ocean Drake to regenerate a minuscule amount per second.
And did Mammoth spot Raze going back to base is my question. Because if they did, they're going to turn their attention straight towards this Dragon. Look at Dajong's positioning as well. He's going to be revealed. So the flash Tibbers is not going to be anywhere near as scary. But out goes Nature's Grasp, in goes the Smite Fight, and Strawley wins it. Voidseeker connects, Chain's gone, Killer Instinct in your face, and he's dead! Have your Dragon, will just win the team fight. Raze from the base comes in with a double kill, and across the wall they go for more. They're going to go for the ace, they're going to take it down in a perfect sequence and head straight to Baron.
And Mammoth clearly looking for this turn, but their setup is just not there. The Chiefs are just better, and by the time the fight actually breaks out, Raze is able to come back from the base. He's able to walk there in the time it takes. If Dajong was hitting this Baron, this Drake, it's a different story. They're trying to look for these fights. They're looking for these opportunities, but the Ornhorn comes through. The Maokai ultimate comes through, locks them all down. The Nautilus to follow. And simply a Kai'Sa Voidseeker connects. And Cheon doesn't even get to play League of Legends. Tian's out of the pit as fast as he possibly can. And Dajong hunting for this flank is looking for a carry that isn't there. He's hunting for a needle in a haystack, you know? Like, he's looking for the impossible instead of just being grouped with his team.
Yeah.
They're really not getting what they're after.
You watched him on that flank for a good 20 seconds, just standing still, waiting for the moment to strike, and by the time he jumps in, the fight has already concluded and certainly gone against them. Real unfortunate situation there for Mammoth, and once again we find ourselves 20 minutes onwards, and Chiefs start to create that lead for themselves. Up by 6,000, soon to be 7.
And the lead's tough now, Skimmy. There's a Knight's Edge. Edge of Night. Not Knight's Vow, Knight's Edge.
Knight's Edge? I like that, sounds good.
Knight's Edge does sound kind of cool. Could be a movie, I reckon.
Yeah, it certainly could be.
Edge of Night is done for Kisei, which means, first of all, hard to engage onto him. Karthus ultimate not going to do any damage to him like this when you're hunting for those first strike procs. And Eludens is done for Raze. So now if these Void Seekers connect, you're going to know. You're going to know about it. And this is that point where we said maybe a point of no return for Mammoth unless they find Flash engages. Well, they don't have Flash on Karthus or Annie or Cassante or Rel. So they, yeah, look at him. You got to deal with this for 3 more minutes?
Oh,
good
yuck.
luck.
You see the Void Seeker and you're like, okay, respectable, and then the Shock Blast comes through and you're thinking, good luck defending that. This is a team with a Baron. They're sieging. They're going to let you know.
You felt the earthquake and then a tsunami comes through after. Dangerous position to be in for Mammoth. They're split on the line. An elimination round, 2-0 down against the Chiefs. The curse yet to be broken. It's now or never for Mammoth.
And there's no TP flanking wards that I can see for Mammoth to try and turn their attention to get behind them. There's no flash for Dajong. He's really reliant then on the rocket belt. Hex flash here for the Rel as well. They are stuck inside their base, forced to weather this assault.
And already half HP, they see that Sully has to go back to base. He's providing nothing to the map presently. And they can't engage because their Karthus isn't there. Requiem going to be up now. With the Edge of Night still available for Kisei. He's just going to use it, however. Make some money with that first strike, I suppose. And Raze does get poked down. But so's everyone on the side in Mammoth, and slowly but surely the base is broken. Kevy's in a one-on-one with a cat.
Yeah, he's listening to Yumi IRL right now.
Bring Kevy back.
He's got his #1 supporter sat on the chair alongside him.
Actually, Yumi IRL.
Not now, we're sieging. We're trying to win the series.
Give me 5 minutes, the game is ending.
We're close. Very close to getting the perfect 3-0 here. And credit where credit is due here for Mammoth. They've been able to hold on as much as they can. No inhibitors were lost. Dowels were taken. They still got a chance.
Look, they get one more opportunity. I think if the Chiefs win one more fight, that could just be it for Mammoth. Depending on how the fight goes, of course. But the Chiefs now, they get to deploy themselves back towards the top, the bot side river. Mountain Drake up, Soul Point up, 50 seconds on the clock. No one here to help Yersun as he tries to get vision down. The Karthus is focused on farming. Only level 12 though. 16 not going to be an important breakpoint anytime soon. 2 items and a half done here for the Karthus. No Dark Soul stacks, no Death Cap. Anything to speak of. Dajong in big trouble.
He has the flash, burn the rocket belt too.
The teleport though.
But in we go, a TP coming in from the Cassante. Tien wants to be the hero, but look at Dajong's HP! 2 taps by the Jace. Kislei's just too strong. Out goes the hook, doesn't find what they're after, but then in comes that Void Seeker. You dodge one, you get hit by a second, and get a headache from the Ornn that jumps in. Magnet Storm onto multiple members, but Bio's tanking up the world. Sully gets that kill, Yersun goes golden, and a raise in your face! He just gets a double! He's a man possessed! As the Chiefs will find yet another ace.
Kisei does a little bit of a tango there to dodge the Skittles. We'll be able to walk on through after this tower falls. Drake is there for the taking. It's not going to be the Nexus this time around. Still 2 members of the Chiefs fall, but Raze falls to take all of Mammoth with him. Dajong has to flash here at the very start, but the teleport puts him in a bad position and essentially baited in by the teleport. Dajong puts down the Tibbers and then just gets put to sleep by Jace straight away. And all of the health bars here healthy enough for the Chiefs to continue this pursuit. They look at Kisei, but it's a mistake. They step too far forwards. The Gale Force gets cancelled by Ornn's R2. Cheon is just in big trouble. Auto attack comes through from Ornn, which gets the crowd control proc into Cheon. Raze with those cooldowns able to come in, ult QW, 2 members fall, and just like that, Mammoth's chances of defending a Mountain Soul fall with it.
Relentless, up by 10,000 now, Rusty, and with everybody sharing those ornament upgrades, they are feeling very confident about their chances to close this one out now. As you say, the Mountain Soul done, a poke team with the protection of a shield into that of a Requiem. You're sitting very pretty now.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where, like, ways back in for Mammoth is the same as it's always been. It's obvious, right? They just need to get some scaling damage and hit that team fight, but you're trying to hit a team fight against a team that moves further and further away from you the more items that they're able to complete. And the harder of a time you have getting through a Maokai and an Ornn to get to them in the first place. So I felt like Mammoth put themselves on a clock here by first picking an Annie with a Kai'Sa and a Jace available. And here we are. Time in the hourglass is winding down.
Baron in a Dream is what Mammoth are looking at right now. They need a massive bailout to try and get themselves any real shot at a game 4.
Horn's out.
Bio stands the Horn. Out comes the Requiem, the 2-man depth charge knocking everybody up. The stun is there, but the Nature's Grasp locks down Chen. Is he going to burn on down? Is he going to fall victim to the pain and punishment of this one? Trying to life leech up on that Raptors camp, but it's 2 kills so far here by Raze. Voidseeker barely missing onto Sully, but you've got no AD carry, you've got no protection. This mid inhibitor, it's gone.
At the very least, the mid inhibitor is gone right now. You can see Yersun standing in front of his AD carry, trying to make sure that recall gets off. Sully going to dodge the Voidseeker, but they're playing dodging games. Stance Revolution down here, not League of Legends. And the Nexus is under attack.
They're going for the end here, Rusty. It is do or die now for Mammoth. This is their last shot, their last chance to try and answer back to a very angered, informed Chiefs, looking to get the clean sweep, looking to undo the Frio that happened to them last night by exacting that kind of revenge on their opposition. They're not going to be able to close it out just yet. Those 2 Nexus towers are crippled, but they are still hanging on.
They're able to take out the tanks. A nice little engage from Yersun. Keeps the minute. Sully able to deal damage while also keeping his life intact as well. Has the death cap done. Has a stopwatch in his pocket and the flash has returned. They have vision of Aladoric. They see the Voidseeker. The option is there.
They see it, they know it, but they still entertain it. It's a bait. And Aladoric is the one laughing straight to the bank for this one. Yes, he'll fall on down. It's both AD carries that get the kills. But you don't have a jungler now. And that Baron certainly cannot be looked at. It's Cheon. He's about to get 2-tapped. Kisei just getting beaten by the wall. But then a second snipe comes through. And Raze is smiling. He's loving life.
Yersun dodged on instinct, and at what cost?
And for good reason too. Everybody coming together now. Yersun can't do much more than this one. He won't get hit by the Voidseeker. He'll burn to the damage of Kisei's Jace. And they're here to finish the job.
Look, 8 seconds on Sully. He can come back and try and use his body as a method to defend the Nexus, but Chiefs are not going to slow down.
They certainly aren't. They're going to go for Tien.
It's that last chance, as I said before. Dajun going gold and Tien hanging on by an absolute thread. Sully jumps back in himself, jumping into stasis, trying to act as another member to try and deter them from the end goal, which is winning out this series. Requiem, will it kill Raze? Is the Mountain Soul enough? It certainly isn't. But Chiefs, once again, deja vu, running it through the lower bracket to face off against Bliss.
And Chiefs were not content with being 3-0'd yesterday by Bliss. They will 3-0 back. They will return serve, and Mammoth find themselves eliminated in 3rd place in the LCO's 2nd split. Our finalists, another date with Destiny, to say the least. Destiny may even be there.
He may be.
And a good win from the Chiefs as well. It was one of those games, right? You're 2-0 up in the series. They get given the Jace Kaiser. It felt like it was put on a clock, and Mammoth just could not execute well enough in time.
Once again, the same two teams going to the PCS. Your favorites from the start of the split. They've brought it back, and I tell you what, that best of 5 grand final, it's going to be spicy.
Yeah, massive congrats to Chiefs, though. The way that they bounced back from yesterday, it felt like such a tough loss when we watched it, just how dominant Bliss were. But Chiefs flipped a switch. They absolutely turned it on. They 3-0'd here, and they absolutely tore apart whatever momentum Mammoth had when they were going through that lower bracket. This game 3 here, it was the change-up that we were looking for. There was a very different team comp, and what we asked earlier in this best of 5, Max, was where is this Jinx? Where is the Kaiser? And we see both of them here going head-to-head.
We saw both of them, and Chiefs basically got Exodia in this draft here, right? The Jace Kaiser we hadn't seen in all series. It seemed to be so elusive, but here the Chiefs get exactly what we wanted to see, paired alongside that Maokai, and we saw a Jinx, but plain and simple, Nat, it could not play the game post 15 minutes. There was just so much poke that whenever it was trying to enter a fight, it was doing so on around 300 HP, and Chiefs did exactly what they needed to with this draft. Yes, they had some fights in the early game particularly that went against them, but they did a good job of stabilizing, a good job of securing drag control, and that's been the main key to victory throughout this entire series.
Yeah, they played it slow. They knew exactly what they needed to do here. The Kaiser Jace going in the hands of Chiefs was just absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe the damage I was seeing coming out from both of them at the end. They're literally two-shotting one champion.
That was my face.
Yeah,
when the poke was happening, I was like, ugh. I was literally going Rusty mode, making
28
noises.
minutes, I'm like, that is disgusting in every way possible. Yeah, there's not too much more to say here on Mammoth, but Chiefs picking up a lot of things. Great drafts for them in the way that they're able to bide their time and know exactly what they were hunting for in this game, Matt.
Well, it was always his bot lane priority to me that was really the difference, right? There was a fight in the bot side jungle early on in the game where Mammoth did manage to find some kills, but every single dragon we saw, besides this one, went into the hands of the Chiefs, right? And this is the exact same scenario we've seen play out time and time again, where it puts Mammoth on a timer with this composition that's already, you know, in a bit of danger when it comes to scaling because of the range on the side of the Chiefs. They're baited into a dragon fight, they lose it, and despite Kevy even getting ganked in real life, he still manages to get the smite and win the game.
Such a cute cat. I didn't know he had one. I would have asked to see it in the interview.
He was in like a 5-minute 1v1 with that cat as well. Once we noticed it, every time it cuts back to his camera, he's like, get off! Like, for 5 minutes straight. But look, couldn't gank him as much, right? To stop them from actually getting the win.
Yeah, Kitty Cat wanted some cuddles. That was about it there. I don't know what to say. This cheese is looking good. Oh, is this it? So this was 2 separate occasions, or is this a replay
This
of
was
the
a
cat?
separate occasion.
Doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Cat on keyboard, can't win my competitive games.
That is
Number 1 reason.
I think it was actually number 7 in the household Max.
We're going this route again, are we not? Seriously? Haven't we had enough this week?
I'm sorry. It's relentless these days. Still a great fight from Mammoth, holding it till the end there. Just not enough to be...
Classic support gamer moment.
They both dodged because they thought the other one was going to move in a particular direction.
That was Rel's job to tank it.
Yeah.
That is non-negotiable. And
Well,
then Yersan dodged it.
He was going to, but then Cheon clicks up because he thinks Yersan's clicking up because Yersan started stepping to try and dodge it. And then it just ends badly. But I mean, you can see from the damage already, just, you know, most of the Karthus damage is from that ultimate, right, that has been chucking out basically off cooldown to get the first strike gold. You can't really compete as an Annie or a Jinx into the likes of Jace Kaiser. I do think, you know, Dajun didn't have the greatest game on Annie. There were multiple times he's like flash proto-belting and then chucking a single ultimate on like an Ornn. And in a game like this, once again, you need to be blowing up those carries because they're just going to stand back at a million range and blow you up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I did think it was a bit of a diff across the board in a lot of the lanes there, but a phenomenal showing still from Mammoth, but an even better one from Chiefs. They're going to take that PCS slot, and we're going to have a chat to them. BioPanther joining us right here. Bio, congratulations. Going to PCS again. How good does that feel?
It feels really good. Or like, I'm very happy. So.
How are you able to flip the switch so quickly? Like, you guys had a really tough series, that best of 5 yesterday against Bliss. Is it just the change up in opponents? Is it just one of those things that you have to do it?
I just felt like, even this series was really shaky in my opinion, but I just feel like we just played very easy to execute comps, and we just like, the problem I have is like, we're like, there's too many cookers in like our team. Like, we just want to cook all the time, or we have different ideas, and I think that like, once we like solidify a plan, I feel like our team play is always easier, but right now it's like all over the place. So right now, like, we're just trying to like make sure that we listen to one person and like just play the game.
Now, speaking of cooking, you've got a little bit of time before you do face up against Bliss in the grand final rematch. What are you guys planning to cook up to, you know, right some of those mistakes of the past?
Well, like, I want to play Rumble. I want to play Rumble, but like the thing is that like my team was like scarred for it from yesterday, so we just had to ban it. So like I want to play Rumble against Bliss. I want to like play the counters into it. I want to like be better as a team, like preparation for finals, because I feel like that's like the only niche pick that they'll pick into us. And I think that like once we like solidify our game plans, I think we'll be very confident.
And in terms of solidifying game plan, you used both junglers yesterday, only Kevy today. You've only, obviously got only one series left. Are you still planning on, you know, playing whichever one is better for the situation, or are you kind of locked in now?
Like for me personally, I just feel like Shane just works better only because like he's not a big cooker. He's always like, he's just a passenger where everyone else is just like wants to make game plans. So like he's always just like, oh, he'll just have he'll follow the plan, where like Leo or Babip is like a big like person, like talks a lot as well. So it's just like, I don't know. I like both, but it's just also just like right now, like if we want to like win that finals, I think that like we should run Shane, but that's a conversation for the team anyways.
Yeah, a conversation to have a little bit later, but I do want to focus a bit more on this series. There were some moments that you guys weren't able to really, it's not so much executing team fights, but there was just, it felt like there's a little bit of disconnection every now and then. I want to know, like, are comms still really hectic for you guys? It's been something that you've brought up in interviews before, some of the other players as well. Are those comms still really disconnected, or you found that they kind of calmed down and were more concise again in this series?
This series was kind of better, but like it did ramp up when it got to like the end game, because like some people were just like talking about how we can end the games, some people just want to like be on Baron, and it's like I just feel like that's what I mean. It's just a lot of people just have different ideas of the game, and once we just like just have clear calls and like just have like a good team, like I just feel like all our players are really good at the game. I just think that like our focus is always like all over the place. So like we just mess up team fights because we're thinking about like, oh, we're playing with this flank or doing this. I just think that right now we just need to like just calm down, to be honest.
Perfect. Well, that's all I had, Brandon. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on getting the ticket to PCS, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much. See ya.
See ya.
He's the best. Like,
He's so
he actually
good.
gives answers and like says real stuff. Like, love you, Brandon.
The second you started to ask your question, he started laughing.
I
like,
know.
you know something happened tonight. He'll never say what, but something happened.
I might honestly have to message him on Twitter and be like, bro, please tell me what was going through your mind when I was asking this question. I've got to know. But it is good and bad, right? It's that double-edged sword that they're very aware of how they're all over the place, but they're working on it. There is this progression still for them, and they have, what did I say before, Skip, 9 days until the grand final?
Well, that's it. I think this is actually a really good time now for both teams, actually, to reflect on what's worked well for them here domestically, but now to actually look towards the PCS and see what the drafts are over there, maybe draw some inspiration from that too. And get themselves, you know, prepared for that. But at the same time, then consider, okay, what can we do to actually try and go into this one as the #1 seed and be the LCO champions? As for Chiefs, you know, the free-peat for Bliss, exacting their revenge.
And see, one thing I actually want to highlight from his interview that I think rings true is that even this series was shaky. It felt like a lot of the games, the Chiefs were kind of back and forth, and then it just came down to them defaulting to Dragons. Against a team like Bliss, you simply can't do that, right? You're not going to get these clean 5v5s where you're just on neutral footing, and that's where you can just use your experience to take the lead. So they are going to have to do a lot of work behind the scenes to actually be able to ramp things up before that point.
Like, this behind the scenes work, things that we don't see. Well, all that we see is what happens on the Rift, happened in those 3 games in this best of 5. And that's what you got to do your basis of an MVP vote on. So their MVP, who stands out? Because everyone, I want to say there might be a bias towards Raze because he got to just literally right-click freely for all of game 2.
See, I would say it's Kisei from the game 1, and then that game 3, the Pew and like the massive damage.
Jace literally half held the
I wouldn't say Raze was freely hitting though in the second game. Like he was flashing forwards,
True,
right? So like I personally am biased to Raze because he was alpha Ashe in game 2, which stays in my mind.
Yeah, all right. So we got Raze game 2, we got Kisei game 3. We'll see what you guys voted. Our Dare MVP is going to be awarded to Kisei. He went 26-33, 76% kill participation there, and a massive 32% damage share over 3 games. Phenomenal.
Yeah, valid. You cannot fault it. He played really well. I mean, Chiefs against Mammoth is just a tail of the tape now, right? They haven't been able to take a single game from them. The curse continues. And unfortunately for Mammoth, Kisei is one of those members who is just unstoppable. That Nico was crazy.
I was about to bring that up. We mentioned game 2, who stood out there, who stood out in game 3, and then I was recalling, I was going through my caster brain, what you guys do, and I was like, oh yeah, Nico game 1, he like always escaped just with this much health. He was able to get engages on a lot of pop blossoms that he held. He held his ultimate till the right moment. He wasn't, using it just out of reaction or this involuntary, I have to put my ult right now. So
breaking ankles too.
God, yeah.
The jukes every single time, the W usage, not many Nikos use that as well as he did.
Ankles broken, ACLs torn. It was absolutely fantastic showing from Kisei there.
I just think of you going, double ACL bang.
Didn't happen. The play of the day. You know, you voted for it?
Yeah, I picked it. Yeah. It wasn't like a clear standout play of the day, though. I think it wasn't like a... it
wasn't a flashy play, is what you're saying?
No, it was a good play, obviously. It was a great play, but it wasn't, you could sit back in here and say there was a very clear play of the day, if that makes sense.
Well, then I don't know.
Just say a game.
1.
Game 1? And you think game 3? It's game 1, wasn't it, Max?
It's game 1.
Game 1.
It is, speaking of breaking ankles and using Nico ultimates, it is... So, the fact that, he manages to get out here is just incredible, right? I think the way he uses his W especially is so confusing for Sully, who's forced to auto-attack, decide between those 2 clones. Honestly, I thought the real Nico clone was the one that was walking down in this play. I genuinely thought it was, and then it reveals that it's not. And I think that, to be able to use an ability like that, which is so often overlooked as part of Nico's kit, but is so essential, just speaks to his practice and how good he is on this champion.
Don't worry, Max. I got juked as well, didn't I? Remember that one
time?
We did
yeah.
And then Max, Morris was like, no.
It's just a clone,
no, he's not. I was like,
Kisei's in tick.
I retire as a caster.
Anyway, that'll be the last game I ever cast.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's also like, when you think about it, right? Because you're controlling the clone by moving your mouse to click, and then you have to move yourself to click, and he's like doing this everywhere. Like his mouse accuracy was really insane in that little replay. That's all.
Good pick and play of the day. Very impressive. And another reason, again, why Kisei deserves that Dare MVP for himself in this best of 5. Shall we have a look at our bracket?
May as well.
Why not?
Why not? We will be seeing why not. In fact, we will be seeing him in the grand finals in Team Bliss. They will be going up against, now that we know, Chiefs. So Chiefs making it. They win that lower bracket final. They book their next ticket.
We've only had one series not be a sweep.
Oh yeah, the
I've just realized that.
Yeah, we've almost had a goose egg playoffs.
Wow.
Hasn't this happened so often in the past, though? We always it's going to be close, and it's always just sweeps.
It did, but there was that one split where we were like, oh, it's just going to be 3-0s, and then it was like 5 games, 3 times in a row.
You're true, actually. Good point.
I don't remember that. I don't have a very good memory, though. The Team Bliss Chiefs one, look, it's surprising in the upper bracket finals. Cool. Cool. I would have thought that one at least would have gone an extra games there, but either way, we said goodbye to PGG, we said goodbye to Direwolves, then Vertex, and now today we are unfortunately saying goodbye to Mammoth, but they can be so proud in themselves that they got top 3. They came in 3rd here for Split 2. A massive accomplishment for this org.
Well, I mean, organizationally, they've definitely turned it around this split, right? From going from a perpetually 8th, 7th place team.
It went 8th, 7th, 7th. I think they were 5th, 6th because of the P stuff, and then...
Well, from going from that and then to come in here, you've got a new support joining you midway through the split as well, right? You don't have the longest time to acclimate, and to still have a result like this, it's very impressive.
We're not finished just yet. Obviously, the League of Legends action is over, but we still have menu log meal time after this break.
I got to win. champion. Still running the game, you started cramping on, hoping that I'm losing a step. This ain't what you can help. Yo, they call me a zombie, cause I do this to death. Can't take nothing from me, man, I'm constantly hungry. At my best where I'm comfy, like a sofa that's lumpy. We don't quit, we don't cry. If we leave, we take it all. Only rise, we never fall. Just emerge to take the call. Call it an emergence. This is me coming in to do the apex. Best stepping over you. Call it an emergence. Freedom got me acting brand new. Finally in my bag like it's long overdue. This is a resurgence. Never fall back, never quit. Undisturbing. Can I get rewards without the risk? I deserve it. Flexing with the hand of vigorness. You will never see another like this. Call it an emergence. On the board, it's a runaway train. Unstoppable. Started from the bottom in the grain. Won't quit, it's like it's wired in my brain. This is something that I never will explain. Right up in a face where I'm supposed to be. Face like a rosary. Stay up on the rise so the skies feel close to me. Cameras that surprise when I realize they ghosted me. Back with a vengeance, no limits, no jokes to me. Hopefully, you can see we too stacked. And when we get pushed, we push back. We keep on building with no limits, so only we can say when we finish.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's not able. It's a pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
It's Menu Lock meal time. It does mean there is another Menu Lock voucher up for grabs. MenuPog in chat is the code word you're looking for. So go ahead, put it in there, and you could be winning that $40 voucher for yourselves. And I've got a big old question for you guys. Maybe Skimmy might be the only one who cannot answer this, purely because, God, you're a workhorse. You're working 24/7. You're doing absolutely the most out of all of us here. But what is your favorite snack to have here in the studio? See, I get a lot of time to snack.
That's easy as.
Do you mean?
I'll let everyone else go first.
Do you mean the snacks from
Yeah.
here or the snacks that I have here? Because like,
Oh,
you know, I
wait,
got
you
my,
have snacks?
You know, I got my donut here all the
yeah,
time.
but no,
Well, you
I
only
wouldn't
learned
count
this
that.
week that I have my donut here. all the
Okay,
time.
no, I would like to publicly defend myself here. For the very first time, earlier this week, I saw Rusty eating a donut, and on God, for the past 7 weeks, I've never seen him eat a single donut in the studio.
But then we did a friendship test, and he said donut.
He said it was his favorite snack. He didn't say that he ate it every week.
You've watched me eat it here this split. I don't know what
Fake
to tell
friends.
you. I don't know what to tell you. It's a you problem.
For me, Nat, Freddo Frogs. The
Yeah?
chocolate, it's best. Just a little bit of cheeky chocolate, a little bit of cheeky sugar. I'm ready to cast.
Casting.
What's yours, Rusty, if you can't pick your donut?
Probably the nut bars that are in there.
Okay.
The muesli ones. They're good.
Yep.
They're good.
The muesli nut bars,
Nut
the Freddo
bars.
Frog. Yours is the tiny teddies, but not the chocolate ones.
Yeah,
You're a
honey is my go-to flavor. Like honey and choc chip, like they're so close to me. It's like a 50-50 dare fan vote, but like I'll take them both.
It's like game one in that best of 5 Bliss vs. Chiefs when people actually had faith in them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that was like that.
It was like that, and then
Did you
Not
know
anymore.
game
Murder
one?
on the dance floor.
It was
man.
so close. It was
Nat
like
just comes in with a savage blow, like it was just close like
They
that.
just 3-0.
it was like
relax.
47-53, and in the last game it was 83 to 17% or something like that. Like it swung hard.
Yeah, the honey tiny teddies really came in clutch at the end.
they did. They do
certainly
scale.
did. They certainly scaled into the late game.
They
honey
do
tiny
scale in a
teddies.
best of 5. I think I'm torn, but I think mine are the salt and vinegar chips.
A staple.
Good
You
choice.
can't
Yeah.
go wrong.
That's also like my favorite snack though.
Well then, you can't go wrong.
I'm trying to think what else. They have like packs of just almonds as well, which
I
don't
quite like
mind.
the fondue kit we have out the back as well.
What?
I mean, you not see Mildred working out the back there. He's got
Yeah.
the chocolate fondue
Massive
fountain. He's
fountain.
got the cheese fondue fountain. He's like, come on, guys, keep pumping out the social media content. I've got
I
the clips,
thought
I got
you
the Twitter.
were being real for a second then, and I was like, I've never seen
He brought
that,
it
bro.
in the other day when he arrived by horse and carriage.
Yeah.
It was normal. Like, it's weird that you haven't seen that.
Well, we're getting other snacks that you want to give an honourable mention to at least. Your runner-up MVPs.
Runner-up, pretzels, like the little pretzels in a bag.
Okay.
Love those guys.
You guys don't have one?
Runners up.
Yeah. You think it too hard, it means no, you don't have.
Peanuts.
Have you had the seaweed snacks? The ones you just like.
Yes, that's like Me and Sue have that all the time.
They're so good.
I tell you what, I never actually liked seaweed as a snack. I thought it was gross because I was so like white for the most part. It's just like,
Yeah, so
I
what
just go to the
changed?
beach, I see seaweed, I'm like, what's going on there? Next minute, I'm like, hang on a minute, kind of seaweed.
Yeah,
it's kind of
seaweed
cracked.
kinda slaps, yeah.
It's kind of gone
It
from like
slaps.
F tier to A tier. Now it's becoming
Still
S tier.
white, but it's better.
I'm still white. Yeah.
The only downside is like if it gets stuck in your teeth or something. So it's not a broadcast snack for me.
That's
but
true.
It is a goated snack there. But that's enough talk about snacks. Don't forget to put MenuPog in chat. Get yourself $40 to be able to spend on a meal. Awesome snacks as well when you're watching LCO, but not tonight. We're all done. Our playoffs week is finished. Day number 5, all done and dusted. We'll see you in either 7 days for our community night or 9 days for our grand final. But either way, it's been fun, and we'll see you then.
Mammoth with the pincers in place with the Ornhorns out.
Drake resets, jumps across the Warriors, Kevin knocks them up once, takes him down twice. Chain is dead, he can't even hit the flash, he's gone, the pop lost him, knocking up two, Sully in trouble, no jungler, no chance for this Drake to be there. Drake goes golden as his team protects, he peels away, receives the shield, and comes in with the triple.
But what can this Renekton do? Darjok baits out the Ash Arrow.
It's gone out, it's not found a target, and then Tien reveals himself as that raid boss, that nightmare target. He slices and dices onto Kisei's head. Cian is just dead, but the trade goes through. Ray's not on the Magnus Ball. Look at the upside. He could just absolutely rat-a-tat you all on down as Chains removes as he flashes on his head. He gets himself a triple. And out goes Nature's Grasp, in goes the Smite Fight, and Sully wins it. Voice can connect, Chain's gone, Killer Instinct in your face, and he's dead! Have your dragon, you'll just win the team fight. Race from the base comes in with a double kill, and across the wall they go for more. He's about to get 2 taps. Guess they're just getting beaten by the wall, but then a second start comes through.